Now let's fucking go. We are here only a day late. Only a day late. Listen, guys, I'll level with everybody who's here right now. I see a meme. I see a dark meta. What's up, guys? So happy that you're all here one more time. And hey, man, this one's going to be fun. I was looking forward to this. I really did want to do this yesterday, but you know what? For fuck's sakes, man, I completely just ran out of time, okay? It would not have been fair at all to go live with something that I'm going to be so goddamn passionate about, because let's keep it a buck, okay? This is Trump. This is my fucking bread and butter. This is the shit I cut my teeth on way back in 2020, so it's going to be a lot of fun, okay? But I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a heads up because I made the announcement over on just the YouTube page. That's kind of where I've got the best traction, so the best place to put out the message and how long it's going to be anyway. So this is going to be the first of 3 straight days of streaming, okay? Because I'm not about to, fucking renege on any of my deals. I'm here. I was just running out of time yesterday, okay? So today, yes, we're going to be covering the Trump town hall and all of the leftists spurging out, because that shit's almost as funny as the town hall itself. It's not as funny as the town hall because that shit was fucking golden. But then tomorrow, meme, I think you're going to like this. I think you're going to like it a lot because there's going to be a little bit of a carryover, and it's going to be the Rumble exclusive stream. We're going to do it tomorrow, but we're also going to be covering, because I've been thinking about this as well, and it's like I've been grinding my teeth on it. We're going to be covering the FNF, Sneeko, Destiny, Rolo stuff, okay, in as full of a context as I possibly think that we can, by running back Sneeko when he first came back with all of his weird TradCon proclivities, and then Rolo releasing his 8-point list that's going to be out there, and then their little head-to-head interaction that they had I think it was last Wednesday, right? Yeah, no, that would have been, Wednesday when everybody was there. And yeah, man, like Meme said over in the Rumble chat, I'm firmly on Rolo's side. Like, look, I can go point over to I've got the first 4 books. I don't have the player's handbook, but I'm firmly on Rolo's side because he wasn't describing anything. But we'll cover that. We'll cover that tomorrow on the Rumble exclusive stream. And you know what, realistically, this stream right here probably would have been better suited, because I don't know how much of this shit is actually copyright, and if it is, and if it goes down, well, we'll know. But I'm going to get through the rest of this stuff as well. And then on Tuesday, because apparently that's when the big debate between Sneeko, Destiny, Rolo, Mike Sartain, and the boys is going to be happening then. So I'm going to do a simulcast on that one for the Tuesday stream. Now, it's going to be completely different than some of the other stuff that we're doing, but yeah, no, we'll be running a simulcast here. I'll be muting to add any commentary over the top of it, but also an opportunity for anybody to, chat over on a chat that's a lot slower than what the FNF one's going to be, because that one's going to be, if the debate ends up going down, it's going to be somewhere like, no word of a lie, there's probably going to be like 20,000 people over in that chat. So have an opportunity for everybody to just come on over here. And then also, like, I'm going to be watching it anyways and going live on Tuesday, so that's what that's going to be. So I'm going to do the setup stream tomorrow, but as for today, we talking Trump. We talking this fucking town hall. I managed to find, now I wanted to go live on this on Wednesday, but the only people that I was seeing going live, well, they all had YouTube TV, or they had an opportunity to stream through their cable box, through their computer and shit like that. So that's just, I don't have cable. I don't have YouTube TV. Fuck, I don't have access to YouTube TV up here in Canada. So kind of had to rig it a little bit and then just do it in the aftermath, okay? I managed to find a stream, and shout out to Badlands Media. We're going to be taking their stuff over on Rumble, but first and foremost, man, like, I want to get to some of these reactions, because I actually have not seen Anderson Cooper meltdown, and I know a lot of people have also, looked at this meltdown, and it was, God, I've been hearing some things, and yeah, we'll go through that just a little bit to begin with, but I'm just going to check in with you guys, make sure that we are all good over here. Yeah, it'll be fun on Rumble. Yeah. Hey, Rookie, what's up? How's it going? I've been playing TOTK and renting a house for my dog. Haven't watched anything for days. No, that's all fucking, oh, fantastic. Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's what happens. Ended up getting paused. Oh, that's the new Zelda game. I hear it's amazing, Rookie. Is it? Fuck. I got the Switch and all that shit, and been thinking about. That'll be sometime in the future, maybe in the fall or something. Like if I want to play a game, and maybe for like a Rumble stream or something like that. I've been thinking about it, but hopefully Tears of the Kingdom is good. I've been hearing nothing but great things about it. So, and yeah, I do have Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I got Breath of the Wild and a bunch of other ones. I got the Switch. That's the most recent console that I bought, and it's a fucking shame because I used to be a big gamer, but fucking Mass Effect Andromeda ended up drumming that out of me. So now, I think it's Tears of the Kingdom. Rookie can clear it up, but I think Mimi got it. Yeah, so fun. Okay, good, fantastic. But yeah, no, looks like we got everybody here, so I'll just give the disclaimer to begin with because YouTube hates my fucking guts when it comes to streaming. So, if the stream goes down, if we get the black screen of death, and I kind of anticipate that's what's going to happen because I'm looking at everything that we have up there, and you guys can actually see how many tabs I have up here. A couple of these are just short vids, okay, like actual shorts, like Rick Wilson's, little spurg out, which is ever so hilarious. You love to see the Groomer Project try to pop up and try to gain back some relevancy, whatever. But yeah, the rest of the stuff, I think it's all CNN's stuff, but people were also streaming CNN. They weren't taking down their stuff, and some of their other streams, they're still up as well. So we'll see. And if the stream goes black, I will just wait, to the detriment to the good folks over on Rumble, which just fucking hop over to Rumble to begin with if you're watching on YouTube, or, crank it both. I don't care. I think the future Rumble's going to be the platform where if we're going to be having these presidential political talks come 2024, that'll be about the only place that we're going to be able to. So might as well start the transition right now. And Rumble is so much fucking better, even since we began streaming over there on the platform. Shout out to them. But yeah, no, if the stream goes down on YouTube, I'll be trying to pay attention to the chat as well. I've got a whole bunch of things going on at the same time. So if it goes down, head on over to Rumble. I'm not fucking around. I know a lot of other people have the opportunity to come back a couple of different times, but a few, when the Vice bankruptcy video came out, when we did that stream a couple of Tuesdays ago, I got 2 shots at it. I got the one to go down, and then the second one that came back, and then they just tried to strike the channel, and I don't fucking need that shit. Okay, we got a superior platform over on Rumble. I'm just streaming over to YouTube as well to hopefully move some folks over to Rumble as well, because like I said, that's the future. That's probably where I'm going to have to be doing the political stuff here in a little while, but for right now, if we can keep it going on both sides, I will be totally happy with that. See, there's good people on both sides, okay? So what does Anderson Pooper have to say about this situation, okay? So he was... The way that it's addressed here is fucking hilarious. Like, what's the ratio on this, okay? Because I got that little extension working. It's not good. 37 down, 10 up. Anderson Cooper addresses criticism about Trump Town Hall. Just as a roll call for everybody that's in the chats here, okay? How many of you have seen the Town Hall in its totality, okay? Because I initially started, because I was working that day anyways. I was trying to listen to the Crowder coverage of that stuff, but he was just kind of babbling over top of it, and I caught very few things. It's like, okay, we're here to watch Trump. Okay, Trump's going to give the same standard answer. Okay, now we're just going to cut away to our unfunny comedy sketch. Fantastic stuff. But a couple of other people were streaming it as well, so I've actually seen it all in totality, and outside of one answer, Trump did a very good job. So I'll just be adding additional context over top of that as well, but I don't know. Has everybody... Rookie, you said that you were busy, but yeah, Tears of the King, spent my time out here. Stream goes black. YouTube is racist. YouTube big racist, and that's for true. So, yeah, no. So, we will get to that, but I just want to get to this reaction first because this one's been bugging me a bit. Okay, so without further ado, and plus, your boy needs a bit of a drink of water because it's fucking hot. I also have a fan going. Let me know if that's too annoying. I can turn it down a little bit, but it's also 31 degrees Celsius, which is the other side of 90 here in Grand Prairie, and we're being surrounded by wildfires still because of feminism in the firefighting department. That video's coming out sometime this week. Fucking Christ, I need to leave this cocksucking country. But without further ado, what does Anderson Pooper have to say about this shit? I think I got it turned up to $1.25 speed, so we don't have to languish through all of this, okay? So
Good evening. Before we begin with tonight's broadcast, I want to say something about what we witnessed at last night's town hall. Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions.
What you saw. Ain't that hilarious? Ain't that hilarious? So listen, everybody watched, what was that, the other side of 3.5 million people tuned in to watch that, just about a little over an hour-long broadcast. The biggest, like, by, what, 8-fold that CNN has cracked at any given time. So Trump comes in, and then like a fart in the wind, all of the ratings for CNN is gone. But he's going to tell you what you saw. Trump was up on stage. Oh, that evil man who almost destroyed our democracy. Okay, sure.
And predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie.
Actually, he didn't, but okay.
And I get it. It was disturbing.
No, it was fun. It was hilarious. It was disturbing if you're a big Kaitlan Collins simp.
It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug.
Oh my God, Michael Byrd. That was somebody who, if you guys were watching way back in the day when all of that information first came out, and I did a video on it, and it got taken down. I didn't get a strike or anything like that, but we figured it out. I think it was either Red State or Town Hall, both under the same umbrella. They identified the police officer, or I guess the Capitol Hill police officer who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, and turned out that, you know, he was kind of a fucking idiot, okay? Calling him a thug would give him a little bit too much of credit, but this is the same asshole who left his service pistol on a fucking urinal, okay? He also has a track record of being a complete fucking numbskull, but yeah, it had nothing to do with him being black. It had everything to do with him having an itchy trigger finger, and that's the first cop in history to never get snatched up for shooting somebody. He was just doing his job. Okay.
He used many times to describe black men, and called Kaitlan Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is
Well, she was.
what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was
Oh, any woman that stands up to him? Any woman. No, he calls Nancy Pelosi crazy, so.
It's disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy.
The only people that bring up QAnon, I know I'm stopping a lot. Mostly because Anderson just says so much shit. For somebody who's saying, oh, he just stood up there, and all he did was spew his lies. You're doing an awful good job. A lot of projection there, you know, the Mr. Vanderbilt? Yeah, no, he's a Vanderbilt descendant. He's the one who's doing all the lying, but what can you expect? It is those 3 letters down there in the corner.
Democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies.
Was he going to cry?
And his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed.
Sexually battered. It's different. You can put it under that umbrella. That's that sneaky shit that the fucking media likes to do. No, he was found liable of sexual abuse. See, there's a whole bunch of other words that you can throw in there to paint a more accurate picture of it, but no, you can just go sexual abuser. Okay.
As good a job as Kaitlan Collins did,
She didn't.
trying to fact check him, it
She didn't. No, it's a lie. No, the Electoral Act didn't get changed. It got strengthened. Are you fucking serious?
is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think
It's so funny with that chyron that says what you saw. I didn't see any of that. I just saw Trump in peak 2016 for him. The motherfucker's back.
CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that. Giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get.
Okay.
The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president.
You goddamn right. Oh, don't be sad. You know that this is actually going to mean ratings for your diminishing and failing channel.
And according to polling, no other Republican is even close.
You know, L. DeSantis.
That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States
He may be.
in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country.
Well, it's people up in New Hampshire. No shade on New Hampshire, but you can fit that entire state on a postage stamp. Yeah.
They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting.
And your family too may be a Republican. Oh God, no! Even worse, a Trump Republican. No. Ugh.
Many said they're voting for him.
Yeah.
Now,
Goddamn
maybe you haven't
right.
been paying attention to him
Do
since
it
he left
again.
office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again.
No.
Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again.
Oh yeah.
He hasn't changed,
It's happening.
and he is running hard.
Yeah.
You have every right to be outraged
Well,
today and angry and
not
never watch
too
this
hard.
network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Projection much?
If we all only listen to those we agree with, it may actually do the opposite. If lies are allowed to go unchecked, as imperfect as our ability to check them is on a stage in real time, those lies continue. And those
He's doing a really shitty Tucker Carlson impression, but it's so funny when he's telling you, this is what you saw. Not what you saw was what you saw. But what you saw was Orange Man bad. That's why. Orange Tank.
lies spread. If you're angry or upset, I understand, but you have the power to do something about it. You can actually get involved. You can make a difference, whatever side of the aisle you're on.
You can take to the streets. Is that what you want to say, Anderson? Oh, you want to take a page out of crazy Maxine Waters? Oh, I'm sorry, nasty Maxine Waters. That's what Trump calls every woman that he hates, apparently.
After last night, none of us can say, I didn't know what's out there. I didn't know what's coming. We asked Republican senators for their thoughts about last night. Some preferred not to say anything. Others did. Here's a sampling of what we heard.
What's the reason for you not supporting him?
Where do I begin? President Trump's judgment is
Yeah, I don't really care what rhinos have to say about that. Oh my God, you asked Mitt Romney? Are you having a fucking laugh? I wasn't going to play that,
I think people saw last night what they would get with another term of Donald Trump as president.
Witting. Lots of witting.
Which is completely untethered to the truth, uncertain as to whether he wants Russia or Ukraine to win.
Yo, we're going to get into that, and wow.
In the brutal conflict which Russia has imposed on Ukraine.
You're asking me, do I think you should pardon people who engaged in rioting behavior? No, why not?
Anybody who...
Yo, holy shit, was that taken out of context? Holy fuck. God, yeah, CNN, they're going to tell you what you saw. And this is also the same institution where Chris Cuomo, when he was still working for there, said that. You guys aren't allowed to look at the WikiLeaks. We're the media. We're different. We can interpret those and tell you what you're seeing. The more you change, the more you stay the same, you fucks.
Crossed in to the into the Capitol.
Yo, they found
under the
every
circumstances
rhino
I witnessed
possible.
firsthand.
Tom Tillis.
It's hard for me to have a positive predisposition towards them.
Yo, who's that weirdo?
One more now from Jessica Dean. She's at the Capitol for us tonight. One more.
Yeah, frankly, I don't care, man. Is this just the rest of this stuff just going to be, some fucking boxed head lady and some, perpetually white-haired individual, with different fillings from his other boyfriends just being left on top? Yeah, fantastic. So, yeah, no wonder that shit got ratioed to hell and back because it's pretty fucking terrible. I think we'll play a couple of these shorts and then we'll go into the town hall, okay? Let's go to... If you're unfamiliar with who this fuck is, well, apparently you don't have a kid, or you take good care of your kid, and you also don't drive a panel van. This is Rick Wilson. He is the head of whatever's left of the Lincoln Project, or the Groomer Project, if you know, when... Well, he had a take on what happened on the night, and he didn't quite keep it as professional as Anderson Cooper did. Oh, boy.
We're in a break now from the presidential town hall with CNN, Kaitlan Collins, and whatever the fuck they thought they were going to get out of this,
language.
They instead have set a match to democracy once again. You are letting an insane person stand there and make people giggle and laugh when he jokes about rape.
No, he giggles and laughs about a complete fucking sociopath.
You make people giggle and laugh when he jokes about abortion, when he calls an African-American police officer a thug.
Yo, did everybody get the same script on that side of the aisle? Holy.
This insanity should be pulled off the fucking air. Chris Licht, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is astoundingly bad for the brand of CNN. It's astoundingly bad for the country.
Bad for the brand of CNN. Okay, well, if you appreciate the current state of the brand of CNN, maybe this was a good thing then in retrospect. Even though, Chris Licht, the guy that he just name-checked right there, he's the guy who's in charge of CNN. He was apparently backstage at that town hall event, and he said for Trump to just go out there and have fun. Something to that effect, okay? Just go out there and be yourself, because he's in charge of the network, and he knows that if Trump's being himself, Trump is going to go out there and he's going to draw ratings for them, which I was also listening to something, I think it was on it was Razor Fist on Friday. He was talking about how the media, which I can actually corroborate this statement, okay? He was saying that the media was very effective in 2020 by not covering everything that Trump was doing, by just downplaying his rallies, his speeches, making it seem like Trump was low energy, even though Trump has pretty much been the exact same guy you've seen on that stage as he was in 2016. That's an interesting thought, because you remember back in early 2020, there were those stupid pandemic press briefings that Trump was at every single day. And what was happening to his approval numbers? They continued to go up and up and up and up when people were actually listening to Trump. And what was Trump doing on that stage? He was taking care of the nation. He was making sure that, he was putting himself out there. He was also running a re-election campaign at the same time. He was being that same personable person. But then as soon as the media just decided, we don't need to cover this stuff anymore, we can start telling you what Trump is saying, taking him out of context, and take a look at our little Fauci who's being muzzled right now. If only we could just have more jabs in arms and masks on faces, the world would be a better place if that evil orange man would just get the fuck out of the way. See what happened right there? The media was telling you, what did you see? Well, you just saw a man who doesn't care at all about the American public. What you seen up there was an egomaniacal tyrant who just wants to rule and cling to power. When in actuality, when you listen to him, it's not at all what the media paints. Interesting. Very interesting.
And it's astoundingly bad, honestly, folks, for every other Republican candidate in the primaries. Wrap that shit up. It's done. You saw this tonight. You know you can't beat him on the stage. Everybody else, oars up. Time to go to work because he's going to be the nominee. This shit is unfucking believable. I've never seen anything like it. It is a disaster of the highest fucking degree.
It's hilarious, okay? These types will say that it was an unmitigated disaster, this town hall. It was so terrible what happened. I was watching and it was like, no, Trump's just doing Trump shit. Kaitlan Collins is doing CNN stuff, and it's going great. The only way that it's a disaster was, oh, you didn't capitulate to this female because she's a female that's up there, and you were pushing back on you're not supposed to because she's a female. You guys were just running with your identity politics. Long story short, you didn't send somebody up. CNN wasn't necessarily, they were sending their best, ladies and gentlemen. They tell me that they would, but in fact, they did not. They did not send their best. One more, for posterity's sake. We got an MSNBC reporter, Mehdi, I like to eat brains Hassan. Not that one. This one. Okay, so what did he have to say? I know that it's equally as unhinged because Mehdi Hassan is... well, he's unhinged.
The CNN town hall tonight was a disaster for anyone not named Donald John Trump.
No, CNN got a good payday out of it.
It was a disaster for CNN. It was a disaster for American journalism.
Again, just extrapolate what I said earlier about, the reputation of CNN. If it's a disaster for that reputation, probably a good thing.
Broadly, and it was a disaster for anyone who cares about the future of our democracy. And
again, Anderson Cooper. Okay, a couple of those rhino Republican senators, Rick Wilson, our democracy. I know that they've been saying this forever, and I know that I'm just repeating myself at this point in time, but the fact that they continue to all read from the same script is fucking wild.
Truth. And as for host Kaitlan Collins' questions, they just didn't land, and they weren't...
That's fair. That's actually fair. Mostly because her questions were leading, and Trump at this point in time knows how to perfectly Aikido them out of the way.
Enough follow-ups. Perhaps the most revealing...
She had ineffectual follow-ups. She did have them, but they just didn't work.
And depressing moment of the night
no.
is when Collins, again and again, tried to interrupt Donald Trump's non-stop lying about a rigged 2020 election.
And then we had a rigged election.
Oh, I don't need to get into that. We'll listen to it in the town hall. But thanks, Mehdi. Good insight on that one. What have we got from here? Yeah, I'll subject everybody to some Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, because I've seen that this shit was trending, and I will just go ahead and speed this up just a little bit because, we all got to kind of grin and bear it a bit. But, yeah. Let's just make sure everything is still up at this point in time. This thing on. Yeah, exactly. When they interview Meathead. Because, I don't know, Rob Reiner was too busy biting his pillow to tweet out, what's up, John? See you in here. Good. Great. You dark. Is this guy British? Yeah, Mehdi Hassan is, I think he's a Pakistani immigrant to the UK. I think so.
So, yesterday...
But this blob right here is actually culturally appropriating from the Jews, from Dem Boys.
CNN had a town hall with you-know-who.
he who must not be named, your former and future president.
And for me, CNN showed me that they were a ball-free zone. What'd y'all think of this? Yes.
I have to say, start this off with, I was wrong.
Oh boy.
She said they shouldn't show him, and I said they should because I'm a very big defender of the.
See, yeah. Again, I didn't even know about this. I just knew that this clip was going, retarded and all that shit. So we come through on this one. What's the ratio on this bitch? It's going good. Going real fucking good. But no, yeah, don't show him. Don't show him. Just paint a picture about him. Don't let him speak in his own terms. Okay, just, hide him away. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Orange man bad.
The First Amendment, and I believe that everybody should show who they really are, and let's vote accordingly. But what I didn't know was that the audience would be filled with his cult. I would like to know if CNN was passing out Kool-Aid before the event started.
No, that's one of your guys. The six members of Congress that facilitated Jim Jones, Nancy Pelosi, Harvey Milk, it's not Gray Davis. Who's that old cunt that used to be in charge? He came back afterwards. The governor at the time in California. So yeah, if you're gonna make your analogies, make sure that you come correct, you crispy old bitch.
The guy is trashing E. Jean again.
Yeah.
I wonder if she can sue him for defamation again.
She probably can.
If I called her a whack job.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see that. We'll see that. She doesn't even know the law. Ay. But, hey, it's The View. I don't know how this shit is still on the air unless it's being funded by a Democrat mega donor as well. Spoiler.
And when he was trashing her, this annoying audience was clapping.
See, people are annoying when they don't. It's hilarious. She's pointing out an audience that's just clapping incessantly. Probably see that a few more times in here. Again, it's just all zero self-awareness, all projection.
Why would CNN put only Republicans and people who love him in the audience? If I do a comedy show and everybody loves me,
It's a Republican primary, you fucking moron. But again, no, they put the Trump on the CNN. The CNN's a leftist platform, which is kind of indicative of the way that you view the world. But, okay, cool. If they're supposed to be an impartial, okay, let's just take ourselves back a little bit. CNN is supposed to be a political cable news channel. They're supposed to be impartial. They're hosting the first of the entire season, a Republican primary presidential town hall. They would put Trump on there. He is the leading candidate for the Republican Party. Why would they put him on there?
going to be funnier. That's how it works. Yeah. But if you have people who don't particularly think you're that funny.
Oh, Joy Behar's also a comedian, by the way. She's just mad that somebody else was actually getting applause and laughter from an audience instead of just confused looks. It's like, was that the punchline? Am I supposed to laugh?
You have to work harder. Well, that's what I saw last night. I saw a bad stand-up comedian with a bunch
Oh, no, he was fun. That dude has timing.
of people in his cult who love him.
His
And
cult?
that is not American, as far as I'm concerned. That is not American.
Oh, that's not American to like somebody. Oh, okay, cool. I thought it was what's that line in the First Amendment? The right to free speech, the right freedom of association. It's un-American to like somebody. Okay.
I do have to respectfully disagree. This is a democracy.
W6?
74 million people voted for me. It horrifies me.
Voted for you.
Sorry, voted for me. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. 74 million people voted for him. He's the GOP frontrunner. He's outperforming other people by double digits. And by the way, America got to see who he is last night. A ranting, raving lunatic who sided with Vladimir Putin. Said he was
Sided with Vladimir Putin. Oh my God, her voice would be a lot more tolerable if it was face down on a pillow.
restart family separation. He didn't win a single voter. That was radioactive for independents and moderates. It's not the media's job to decide who is going to be the president, who should get a platform, who should be on
Oh,
television.
wait a minute.
It's to
You're
provide
saying
an
that
audience
they
for
should
the-
put only pro-Trump people in the audience?
No,
It's Republican. Again, it's just the concepts are just over people's head. If you guys are going to be tuning in for the next couple of streams tomorrow night and then Tuesday night, you're also going to notice a similar through line where just basic bitch concepts just fly over people's heads because they already have preconceived notions.
That's not really what it's-
halls leading up to a primary. They do that. So
No, W.
I don't,
Doyley?
to be honest, I didn't love the
like
platform,
that, yeah.
but I also want to say this because I know she's getting flack from some folks. Kaitlan
She did a terrible job.
calls it a masterful job. As a
She's retarded.
Masterful job. As a young woman, seeing a 30-year-old journalist take it to one of the most powerful men in the world, I've been bulldozed by him. Wow. Hillary Clinton was bulldozed by him. She got in there, and I'm sorry, it's really easy. It only took her an hour to do that. It's really easy to Monday morning quarterback it, but she stood there. She kept her cool when he called her sexist things, called her a nasty woman.
Sexist by saying that you're nasty. He didn't say woman. He said nasty person, but that's all right. She's all of them are all hot and bothered by the big T.
He lost votes last night.
That was an hour.
He lost votes last night. Well, that's about all I can stomach from that fucking Henfest. Because let's just fucking let's get to the main event, shall we? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and peruse what y'all are talking about here real quick, because I haven't had the opportunity. I've been responding to so much of fucking nonsense. And shout out to the boys once again over at Badlands Media for streaming this stuff. And like I said, I have no idea if this is going to get taken down or not, mostly because, well, I don't know. CNN was pretty good about the rest of this stuff. I can still see the YouTube stream is going strong, which is a lot longer than what it has previously. So, no, that's great. And then over on Rumble, we flying over here. Yeah, if women don't want a leader, why do they consistently vote men into leader positions? Good question. Good question. They just want their guys. They just want their guys. They just want the nice, cozy guy that's going to make them feel good. Not the guy that's actually going to do good. Just the one who makes them feel good. So, oh boy. Let's see her soil this fucking white pantsuit here. Yeah. The view has to go. Any volunteers? Yeah. I'll take the one on the end because she, at least, you know, she has lessons that can be learned. But anyways, without further ado, it's time for the main event.
Like any other in the history of U.S. presidential elections. He's the first former president in more than a century to seek a return to the White House, and he is currently leading the Republican field while also facing multiple criminal investigations and an indictment. Just yesterday, he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation.
That's better.
No questions are off the table, and we agreed to no conditions. We're here to get voters the answers that they deserve. Our audience is made up of Republicans and undeclared voters who plan to take part in New Hampshire's Republican primary. They'll get the chance to question the former president directly. These voters and the issues that they care about the most will help decide if former President Trump will get a second.
There we go.
There he is. I'm gonna come on stage. Look at everybody's laughing. I don't care who's there right now. Everybody's out there. Thank you very much.
President Trump, thank you for your time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New Hampshire, a lot of voters.
What an awkward height those chairs are at. Like, what the fuck, man? Couldn't you pick something, you know, maybe a little bit more appropriate? Because, for Trump, because, what's he? He's like 6'2" or some shit like that. Like, he's a pretty big dude. But the little footrest and the floor is right between where his shoes are going to be. And then you set that chair at a certain height to begin with. I don't know. They try to make him look bad off rip. Come on now.
With a lot of questions about what your 2024 term would look like, what another Trump term would look like. We'll get to the voters.
A lot of winning.
Shortly, but your poll showed that you were dominating the Republican race right now, but you were also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results.
Federal for that? I thought the only federal investigation was the Mar-a-Lago boxes. I think so. Yeah, the other ones, there's the one in Georgia, unless that's in federal court, but that was a state case. That should only be a state case, right? I think so. Anyways.
Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not
deadly. Oh, we'll get into that.
Publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results. Why should
Hillary Clinton and a lot of Democrats still haven't acknowledged the results of the 2016 election, but we don't need to talk about that, right? It was only Trump who was up there spewing all the lies all the time.
Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election.
We did.
The most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened. It was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it, and they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the 51 intelligence agents, that made a 16-point difference. If you look at the FBI, and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference. If you look at
Mr. President, back to what you just said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election.
I know that I'm simulcasting to YouTube right now, but they can't censor when I'm just looking into the camera all sus. All I gotta say is, Wisconsin nursing homes.
You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly...
Wrong. His campaign only filed 4? And then the most significant one was the big conglomerate of a bunch of different states. It was spearheaded by Texas that went immediately up to the Supreme Court against Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. I think Arizona and Nevada were on the other side of that, but then the Supreme Court was like, nope, latches, or, yeah, no, they didn't even give justification on that, man. Oh, Jesus, but no. You and your supporters, that whole supporters addition on there is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras, where they were stuffing ballot boxes. So with all of that, I think it's a shame that what happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country.
Very
I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. You look at the taxes, you look at inflation, what's happened to inflation. It's just destroying our country.
I think going forward, the whole Trump hasn't acknowledged that he lost in 2020. Well, I think the world kind of notices who's in the Oval Office right now. So, yeah, do you have to acknowledge that? Okay, that's like going to the Dallas Cowboys and saying, hey, do you remember when you lost the Super Bowl against 49? No, the NFC Championship games against the 49ers. Remember when you guys lost that? Huh? Remember, acknowledge that. It's like, no, shut up. That's going to replace the whole, are you going to denounce white supremacy? Just wait. You can see that pivot coming off into the horizon.
We've really become, in many ways, a third world country. And it's very sad what's happened in this administration.
Have you seen any of those videos that are coming out of the southern border where there's lines and lines and lines of illegal immigrants going through the rather sizable gap in the wall? I don't know if that video is staged or not, because it's weird that somebody's videotaping it and putting it out online like that from the immigrant side of the wall, sneaking right through there, and there's just this uninterrupted line of brown military-aged men. It almost seems like a plant, but I'd imagine something like that is actually happening down there.
And it's something that will turn around on day one. We were energy independent. Now energy is at a level that we've never had to pay before. Nobody can afford to continue to pay what's happening with energy. But we were energy independent. We were getting out of Afghanistan with strength and with dignity. And instead we got out, we looked like fools. Probably the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Legit, you guys have probably heard me say that a bunch of different times. That's one reason that I can never, ever, ever forgive Biden. The way that he took everything out of Afghanistan like that, that was the biggest unforced error that I've seen a high-level politician commit in a very, very, very long time. That's the fact that that's not being replayed over and over again as much as the Very Fine People hoax. 13 armed forces members died on that day for no fucking reason at all. And it just gets brushed under the rug, okay? Like, it's... What, October? No, it wasn't October. It was August. Fuck, we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that shit, and nobody talks about it outside of Trump. It's disgusting. It's despicable. There's no other way to put it.
A lot of questions about the economy and foreign policy tonight, but what you just said there, Republican officials debunked those claims about fraudulent ballots.
Who, Mitt Romney? The same ones? Oh, yeah. Republican officials. Oh, like who? Brad Raffensperger?
We want to give you a chance tonight.
Who?
Republican officials in Georgia and every single state. There is no your own election officials, Mr. President. So we wanted to give you a chance.
People were afraid to take on the issue.
That's true. That's true. They were afraid.
We have a big problem in this country. We have
elections
that were horrible. If you look at what happened in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, if you look at what happened in Detroit, Michigan, if you look at what happened in Atlanta, millions of votes. And all you have to do is take a look at government cameras. You'll see them. People going to 28 different voting booths to vote, to put in 7 ballots apiece.
But Mr. President, I have to stop you there because there is no evidence of that. Your own election officials testified to that.
Yeah, it's like, come on, you want to bring up Detroit. There's no evidence of that at all whatsoever. Shut your mouth, okay? Nobody could get any pictures because of the poster board that was up on the windows.
And have said that Republicans in these states did this. In Georgia, there were multiple recounts, including a hand recount. We have questions about the claims that you're making tonight from voters on this topic. I want to bring in Scott Dustin from Concord. He works in insurance litigation. He's an undeclared voter. That's what they call
really undeclared
independence here in New Hampshire, as you know. He did vote for you in 2020. Scott, what's your question for the president?
President Trump, welcome back to.
Why he look like he wearing a fat suit? That's fucking weird. And why does he also look like he has that surgery scar that's running right down his throat? I don't know. Maybe he's got a stoma.
New Hampshire?
Thank you.
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
I wonder if CNN's producers planned that one. It's like, okay, it depends on how he starts off. Because Kaitlan Collins also started, will you finally acknowledge that you lost? Just acknowledge that you lost. And then they immediately go to, I don't know, fat bastard in the front row right there. And it's like, well, you suspend polarizing talk of the election. No, election integrity is on the front of the minds of a lot of Republican voters.
Will I suspend, excuse me, what?
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your...
No, he looks like a burn victim, actually. It's a stream. There's jokes.
Run for president.
Yeah, unless I see election fraud. If I see election fraud, I think I have an obligation to say it. And you know what we went through a short while ago has really put our country in a big problem. I hope to do that. I hope we're going to have very honest elections. We should have voter ID. We should have one-day elections. We should have paper ballots instead of these mail-in votes. But the answer is yes, and I hope that it's going to be very straight up, because if it's going to be straight up, we're going to win the election.
So you will suspend talk to his question about the 2020 election on the campaign trail?
I guess we're going to just win. We're at a point now. We're getting so close. Let's just win it again and straighten out our country.
One other question on this.
You're goddamn right. Oh, and yeah, the shout out to the boys over there, restreaming this and then, just throwing over stuff over there. So, with the little updates. I appreciate that. It's kind of funny. Oh, Trump, only stupid people think the election wasn't, helped along by Democrats. And then Kaitlan Collins, the election, it was totally fine. It was the most safe and secure election of all time. Shut your fucking mouth!
When you've talked about the 2020 election results in the past, you once suggested terminating the Constitution. Do you stand by those comments?
No. You were able to do certain things. I'm not talking about terminating the Constitution. I'm talking about cherishing the Constitution. The Constitution says that we're supposed to have legal and well-maintained and well-looked-at elections, and we didn't have that. I cherish our Constitution, but we have to live up to the Constitution. We weren't living up to the Constitution.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election.
To my guys over on Rumble, because I'm trying to hop back and forth between the two chats. The Rumble shit the bed or some shit like that, because all of a sudden, I seen that it was, spinning and all that stuff. So, looks like it's live right now. Yeah, it's all good so far. So, okay, yeah, no, that's fucking weird, I guess. Okay, cool. I'll just go back to this. Sorry,
you did once.
It's the first time I think that we've ever streamed and Rumble has been an interference on YouTube side. Power of Trump, I guess. He just throws everything into a big whack.
You're supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look, that was a horrible election. That was a horrible election, and unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda or you have an agenda. Look, we have to have honest elections in our country. We have open borders. You look at what's happening. I mean, we have elections. We have open borders. Look at what's happening on our southern border. Millions and millions of people are coming in. They're being released from prisons. They're being released from mental institutions. And we have millions of people pouring into our country. And now they're getting rid of Title 42, which I put on, which kept people out that were sick.
And Mr. President, we have a lot of questions about immigration to get to tonight. Obviously, that's a big...
We have a lot of questions to get to, and this is why mass media is so fucking dumb, okay? If you could have Trump on stage for like 3 hours and he goes through his entire platform, that would be such a gigantic W, and that's kind of what I'm hoping. It's actually really what I'm hoping for this presidential cycle, where there's a lot more involvement from independent sources where, okay, if Joe Rogan actually grew a spine and became as relevant as he was back in 2020, because let's keep it a buck, okay, who the fuck goes over to Spotify to just watch his fucking podcast? Nobody. You can take a look at all of the available metrics, and he's not nearly as popular as he was on YouTube, but even still, like, if there could be a 2-3 hour long roundtable discussion between the two candidates when ultimately the selection period starts, that would be a big boon. And given the fact that all of the eyeballs are moving away from mass media and onto the different people that are going to be covering the primary debates, going to be covering the presidential debates, That'd be a smart move, and you can see Trump already kind of wading into that with his interviews, his full send interviews, a couple of other places that he's been as well. So yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and hopefully that's a change that we see in 2024.
Topic, especially given what's expected to happen tomorrow. But I want to talk about the influence you have over your voters. It's very clear that you are very influential over them. You have a lot of impact. I've been to many of your rallies and seen it up close, which raised a lot of questions about the influence that we saw that you had on them on January 6th and your supporters when they attacked the Capitol. Do you have any regrets about your actions on January 6th?
Well, you know, January 6th was, again, we go back to it, but January 6th had to do with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see the pictures very often. A lot of the people here probably were there. January 6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. That was prior to the walk down to the Capitol building. I don't think, and I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this. And that was because they thought the election was rigged.
The only other bigger crowd that I've spoke to was the crowd at my inauguration. The biggest crowd ever.
Come on, Trump. Okay, you know, even as a devout fan or the supporter, I was like, you know, there was like 100,000 people that were there. But come on now, and the inauguration crowd, come on.
And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart.
Yes,
that was
they were.
Unbelievable, and it was
Especially
a beautiful
the guy
day.
with the horns.
And
What
what
a-
I was asked
what a
to
get-up.
do, I wasn't involved in it very much. I was asked to come in. Would I make a speech? I made a speech. I said, walk peacefully and patriotically, or, you know, many different things. In fact, I brought a list of things. I don't want to bore the audience, but we can go sentence after sentence after sentence of things I said and things I put out. One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy, as I affectionately call her, Crazy Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington were in charge,
sexism.
as you know, of security. And they
They're
did
not in
not do
charge of
their
the
job.
National Guard. You're in charge of the
They
National
are in
Guard.
well, I offered them National Guard. I said,
Yeah.
we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want. And they turned me down.
You're
And in
acting
fact, she
defense
turned me down.
secretary.
She turned me down in writing.
Yeah, Kaitlan Collins did a good job. She can't even get that shit straight, okay? Like, there's phone calls, verifiable phone calls that, yeah, Trump said we can get a whole bunch of, you guys want some additional National Guard? The people that have RSVP'd for my speech at the Ellipse, and it's like there's going to be over 100,000 people turn out for that. You want some additional security because, okay, I don't have jurisdiction over this stuff. All I can do is call in the National Guard if I evoke a martial law type situation. Who's responsible for the security of the Capitol building? The Speaker of the House. Who's responsible for keeping the city of Washington, D.C. safe? Muriel Bowser. Who declined to accept that additional safety precaution? Nancy Pelosi. Muriel Bowser. Gets the old noggin jogging, don't you think?
Turn me down.
But your acting defense secretary, Chris Miller, at the time, he says you never gave a formal order to deploy the National Guard. But when it
See what she does right there? Like, now she wants to try to move ahead. Oh, you see, he said that she never gave the order to call in the National Guard. Yeah, because Trump was talking to the people that was in charge of security. Do you guys want additional troops? And it's like, no, we'll be good. Or just not listen to him. And it's like, okay, well, hey, I'm not going to call in the National Guard because that would be a gigantic vision, or kind of an optics fuck up if, okay, Trump, he's going to bring in all of his foot soldiers and he's going to lead an insurrection on the Capitol. Sure thing.
Excuse me,
that day,
just the opposite. Chris Miller wrote a book, and he's a fantastic guy, and he was ready to go. They turned him down. If you look, the mayor of Washington, D.C., lovely lady, she said, we don't like the look. Nancy Pelosi said, we don't like the look. If they would have had I offered them 10,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
I said, it could be 10, it could be more, but I offered them specifically 10,000 soldiers.
It's funny how those soldiers came up later and then put up the barbed wire and the chain link fence around the Capitol building. Remember how that was up until the summer of 2021? Oh, fun times, fun times.
If they would have taken 500 soldiers, you wouldn't have the problem. They turned it down. And if you look at the Inspector General report, he says they turned it down. They made a terrible mistake.
Well, Chris Miller was your acting defense secretary. He says you never gave that order. But back to what happened on that day.
He
You said
did
you
not
weren't
say that.
He has testified that, Mr.
He did
President.
not say that.
But you said you weren't very involved that day. You did tell your supporters to come to Washington. You tweeted about
Sure,
that
of
speech
course.
that happened on the rally.
Am I allowed to say that?
When they went to the Capitol and they were breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, injuring police officers, why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out. So if you look at on January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful. This was the day before, and this was in the form of Twitter. Now use Truth Social. I think it's far superior, okay? I hope everybody's
It was funny how everybody snickered at that at the time, and then with the announcement of the new CEO who Well, boy, I thought I covered quite a few things when I did the video on it yesterday, but yeah, there's some other video clips that are leaking of her being full-on ESG cheerleader by Elon Musk trying to capitulate to the center. Yeah, really kind of compromised the future of Twitter, but now Truth Social, it's kind of looking like a... definitely kind of looking like an alternative. But Tucker Carlson, remember, he was going to be launching, he still is for all intents and purposes, launching his new show on Twitter. I said that, yeah, it's not exclusive because he never said it was going to be exclusive. He was just going to be launching it over there. But Elon Musk ended up backing that up by saying that he has no deal. It's the same parameters that all of the different creators can get access to on Twitter. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I ultimately think we're going to see him on Rumble at some point in time in some form or fashion. So,
if you look January...
maybe on Truth, if they have video posting services. I don't know, folks. It's eventually, it's coming down the pike. We're working on something.
It's just before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on Truth and I'm staying on Truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30. That was very early.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline that you did.
No, but you didn't report that. You know why? Because it was taken down.
We did report it. I was reporting that
thing. It was taken down and it wasn't.
But when it was clear to you that they were not being peaceful, you saw them rushing the Capitol, breaking windows. They were hitting officers with flagpoles, tasing them, beating them up. When it was clear they weren't being peaceful.
Where was that exactly? I remember there was one guy completely clad in black, climbing up on something right out front, and everybody's going, "Stop breaking the fucking windows, you idiot!" in a bike helmet, just banging shit. I remember that guy. I also remember a CNN contributor, James Earl Sullivan, going into the Capitol, and you guys bought all the footage of him in there. It's always been something that's kind of bugged me in the back of my mind ever since I first seen all of that footage that's there. On a day such as January 6th, where it was supposed to be, counting all of the electoral votes, just making everything, finalizing everything, why weren't there any media cameras that were there? That's always bothered me. It's always bothered me. It's almost like if there's ever any sort of a Twitter files release from mass media, that'll be very, very, very fucking interesting.
Why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listened to you like no one else. You know that.
This is the same kind of Kafka trap that she set, and actually the mass media did at the same back in the day. Okay, because if Trump takes responsibility for the people that are there, he acknowledges that he would have sent people there. Even if he didn't, that would be the look that would have been out there, and that would have been the narrative that would have been spun. So by him saying, "Okay, everybody, you got to go home peacefully with love in your heart. Okay, everybody, you showed what we're made of out here. There's a bunch of great people, a lot of great people that showed up on this. You guys came, you heard my speech. A lot of you were peaceful. Not too many people of you. I seen a lot of people going to the Capitol. A lot of people were nice. A lot of people got guided tours. I hear that they're great guided tours that went through the Capitol. There was that old lady with her flag. Oh, wasn't that cute? It's just like I don't even know what to talk about. Yeah, it was a great time. But everybody needs to go home. You just need to go home right now." That's what he put out afterwards. But yeah, no, he's obviously going to get to that. But acknowledging that he's in control of them, which I think that, the 100,000 people that were around the Capitol, the few hundred that got into it, he doesn't control them. They're autonomous individuals. Sure, they were wearing MAGA hats. Sure, they had the United States flag wrapped around them, but Trump's not the one pulling the strings, okay? He's the reason that they're there. Them acting out in that fashion was not at all what he calls. So trying to lay the blame of their actions at his feet is not how the law works. But you're on CNN. It's just kind of a bizarre world anyways.
I agree with that. But
so Nancy
Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assume they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But Pelosi's not in charge of Capitol
And if you remember,
security.
I made a video right outside the Oval Office in the Rose Garden. And I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts like a certain person that's in there right now.
What time, the video? It came out much later after they had already attacked the Capitol.
That's ageism.
It was a great video. And It was a beautiful video, and it said, I mean, I don't want to read it all, but you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people of law and order. We love the people of law and order. We can't play into the hands of these other people. We have to have peace. Please go home. I said that. You know what they did? They took that down, and you know, to this day, it hasn't been put up. And the reason is it's so good and so conclusive
it's wonderful.
that all of this nonsense and all of the tens of millions of dollars that have been spent are just wiped away with this one. And they've never put it back up. They had another one that they did the same
But that video that you referenced there, it wasn't posted.
Yeah, that video's not up. The last thing that's up is the no, I will not be attending the inauguration. Yeah, that's the last tweet that's up. Just going to check in the background.
Until 4:17 p.m.
No, I'll tell
they
you,
breached the Capitol at 2 p.m.
That video was posted.
4:17
Yeah,
p.m.
actually a little bit before that.
Right, so that's my question.
Excuse me.
Because in that 3 hours, over 140
it was
officers
posted
were
after the
injured.
first one I just read, though, and that was at 2 o'clock.
But I think the reason the timeline is so critical here, because going back to your influence, in
Here's
that
another
3
one I
hours,
posted.
over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
Oh, what a fucking she was not ready for this. Yes. Fuck.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed.
Yep.
And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her. At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her, and she was a good person. She was a patriot. There was no reason. There was no reason. And
see, that was not a part of her script because she's scrambling. It's like, yeah, you know, all of those police officers that were injured that day. She would have loved to say Brian Sicknick died that day. No, he didn't. What about the other people that? No, they didn't. It was reported in the media, and then he got the retraction a couple of days later and actually kind of died of like a stroke. He kind of had a history of medical problems, and oh yeah, the other chick, you know, died of an overdose. There were a couple of guys that died in the parking lot. But it was deadly that day, and there were so many officers that were injured. Okay, cool. What about everybody that's still caught up in prison? He's going to address that. But then, yeah, when he brings up Ashley Babbitt, she's like, fuck. Yeah. Yeah, you got a point there. Maybe. Because remember, Joy Behar said, you didn't win anybody over with this town hall. Maybe Kaitlan Collins is going to become maybe she'll be a supporter after this.
he went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
60 Minutes interview.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he killed her, but
bragging.
one person who was...
Yeah, I did my job. I was defending the Capitol. From a 5'6" woman climbing through a window. Yeah, you could have apprehended her, but I didn't know what she had. She was also from different angles that were shown that day in the Capitol. She was trying to keep people out of it, and then she hopped in the window. But yeah, no, I had no other choice. Bragging is one way to put it, but hey, man, we'll talk about another brag very shortly.
At the Capitol that day, as you know, was your vice president, Mike Pence, who says that you endangered his life on that day.
I don't know.
Mr. President, do you feel that you owe him an apology?
No, because he did something wrong. He should have put the votes back to the state legislatures, and I think we would have had a different outcome.
Here's probably the biggest lie by
He doesn't have the authority
CNN.
to do that, as you know.
What?
Yeah.
The vice
Yeah, that is memorandum of the Secretary of Army. What do they got put up here? Employment guidance for the District of Columbia National Guard. Okay, this memorandum responds to the January 4th. I got to get my recording software out of the way in order to read this. I'm sorry. Employment guidance. Yes, the memorandum responds to the January 4th, 2021 memorandum regarding the District of Columbia's request for District of Columbia National Guard support in response to planned demonstrations for January 5th and 6th. You are authorized to approve the request support subject for guidance below. The subject to consult with Attorney General required by Executive Order 11485. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Yeah, memorandum for Secretary of Army. So, yeah, the DOD, acting DOD, he got the word. And again, guess who was right in this situation? It's not the chick in the white pantsuit. It's not her, folks. I only tell the truth. I tell the best of truths.
Vice President does not have the
I got a platform named Truth.
authority to
Okay,
reject
are you
those
ready? Let's have this
elected
one out
results.
just now because it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting, right? I like Mike Pence very much. He's a very fine man. He's a very nice man. He made a mistake. His lawyer said, you cannot move. I called him the human conveyor belt. I said, even if the votes, I talked to his lawyer, even if the votes are absolutely fraudulent, he can't. Yes, sir, he can send back. And
The Electoral Count Act of 1886. It was that first funky election where there was kind of a handshake deal that the Republican would take over, and then so that election was so fucking wild.
The Democrats played it and the rhinos played it.
Yes.
And then the election was over. They told him he couldn't do it. And Mike said to me, I can't do it. The lawyers told me I can't do it. They can't do it. But the lawyers were wrong, because right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act. I've read that. There is no authority.
No,
Legal
Of the 2022 update.
experts, including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority, Mr.
Kaitlan,
President. But I want
why
to move
did
on.
they
Retroactively using the new law in order to view and interpret the events of the previous time. Yeah, that's not allowed under any situation. So yeah, that's just a lie. And she doesn't even make reference of the new law, which makes, yes, everything ceremonial. Once it gets what the fuck's the proper term? Is it certified? I think it's certified at the state level, and then it gets sent. Then yes, everything is purely ceremonial. Once it gets to the White House, and then you just count it, and then there's going to be no more challenges or anything like that. That's the new law, the one that's been, she'll say, strengthened later, but it was changed. Trump was right again.
change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about
They
presidents
strengthened it,
exploiting.
meaning you could do it.
That's not what it means.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. I'm thanking the crowd. Thank you. Shut up. Thank you.
They strengthened the law
Mike
because
had
they
the
were
right
worried.
to do it.
Yes.
They convinced him he didn't.
He did
and
it
it was
at
a
the time.
horrible thing for our country. If you would have,
and that wouldn't have overturned the election at all whatsoever. That would have just put it back down to the states, and the states could figure out what they want to do with their their delegates. What they want to do with their delegates. What they do from there is in their hands. It's almost like it's a United States of America and not a federal government, but you're also going to see that as well when we get into a couple of different questions. It's like, don't you want more federalism? Don't you want more big government overreach? No. He's a bad man for not wanting that.
sent those votes back to Georgia, Pennsylvania, and other states. Wisconsin, which if you look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted now that
nursing homes.
The
Who said
election
that?
was rigged. If
They
you
have
would have
not
sent
admitted
those
that,
votes
Mr.
back to
President.
many of those states, they would not come back in the affirmative. And remember what I said, and you just said it pretty much. You admitted what I said was right.
I
They
did
said he
not.
didn't have the right to do it.
No, I didn't do it. No, shut up.
And he did have the right to do it, and that's why they changed the law, taking that right away.
I should note that your campaign paid for a recount that happened in Wisconsin. It actually had more votes for President Biden by the end of it. But I want to move on to Wayne Byer.
I don't want to give him the opportunity to talk because he's being a bad man right now. Yeah, okay, cool. It's like counting a deck of cards, okay, and then you're 4 short because they took all of the kings out of the deck. It's like, oh yeah, look, you counted the full pack of cards that was right there, and you only came up with 80 or 48 cards. Hey man, that's what was there. It's like, no, certain things are missing. You counted the cards that were there. Okay, cool. Are we going to look for those other missing? No? Oh, okay, cool.
He's a retired attorney from
By the
North
way,
Conway.
so many
who's-
illegal votes were cast in Wisconsin. And if you look in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they had so many illegal votes, they didn't even know what to do with them. You're absolutely wrong
Mr.
about
President,
that.
there weren't any fraudulent votes in Wisconsin. I do want to get to the audience.
She knows better than you. She's a woman. Women can do it better. And in heels.
We have questions for you from the audience. Wayne Byer is a retired attorney from North Conway. He has previously served in Republican administrations. He volunteered for the Republican Party in the 2022 midterms. He voted for you in 2020. What's your question for the president, Wayne?
Thank you for coming, Mr. President.
Thank you, Wayne.
Mike,
I just looked down, and Big Ed is once again just a big fucking dude right here. Yo, man, shout out to you, man. You're just exceptionally generous every single time that we do this. Thanks is never enough, but I do appreciate it. Great to help you. Come on, peeps. Smash the like button and help with something. I'm glad you all are here, but yeah, just be like Ed. Smash that like button, I guess. I think it helps with engage. I don't fucking know, but I'm glad you're here. And plus, we get to hear from Trump. And it's Sunday, and you guys could be anywhere, but you're here. Thanks for that.
my question to you is, will you pardon the January 6th rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them.
Yep.
I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa,
Fucking great answer right there. Yeah, for the guys who deserve to be in prison, sucks to suck, I guess. But for the guys that are just in there on aggravated trespassing, yeah, no, they're going to get the big old pardon right there. So just great. And then immediately pivots to, look at what happened with Antifa. They're burning down the cities. Look at what happened in Portland. Portland, it's a terrible place. It was a great place. It's a beautiful place. Lots of trees. People tell me it's one of the most beautiful cities that's up there in the lovely Pacific Northwest. Everybody tells me. And then Seattle with their stupid Chaz or Chopper
chump, or I don't know what they called it, but it was there for a while. Who was prosecuted off of that? Nobody. Nada. Nothing with the radical left Democrat prosecutors that are up there. You just can't get a fair trial, folks. They just burn down your cities. It's just, it's unthinkable what happens up there in those places.
Look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything, but you have two standards of justice in this country, and what they've done, and I love that question, because what they've done to so many people is nothing. And then what they've done to these people, they've persecuted these people. And yeah, my answer is, I am most likely, if I get in, I will most likely, I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did a very, and it'll be very early on.
Yeah.
And they're living in hell right now.
So when it comes
they're
to
living
pardons,
in hell. And they're policemen, and they're firemen, and they're soldiers, and they're carpenters and electricians, and they're great people. Many of them are just great people.
Mr. President, one of the...
Don't even need to say both sides, folks.
Oh, excuse me, a little bit of extra water. It interrupts my impression.
Yeah, no, there was just great people on one side, the Trump side, the best side. People don't have to tell me. I already know it's the best side. It's the winning side. All we're gonna do is win, folks. Win. Not like Kaitlan though. She used to be a winner, and then she decided to work for the enemy with CNN. They're all fake news.
People who was convicted was a former policeman, but he was convicted of attacking a police officer, I should note. But when you said you are considering pardoning a large portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th, does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
Yo, that was such a perfect response to that question. You remember how it started out? Are you going to pardon all the people involved in January 6th? Well, some of them. Antifa's terrible. You can't get a fair trial. This is the most perfect example. The absolute, it's going to be my test case going forward when it comes to people holding extreme frame in a very tough situation. Because, yeah, everything was set up for Trump to fail. Okay, you got a reasonably attractive, the best CNN can do to put up there. You got a young white woman who's just going to be up there asking all of her Karen-y questions. And, yeah, the only thing that could have been better is if they had an equally attractive black lady to be up there. Okay, and if Trump would have pushed hard against her, oh, you can't do that because that's racist and misogynist, or whatever the fuck they want to throw out there. But no, Trump was answering shit his way. She was trying to interject. He would just go, excuse me, I don't need to, no, just shut up. I'm here for the people. I'm a man of the people, okay? Not you. You're here for the corporations, and they lie all the time. A lot of lies from you guys. I'm here for the people, okay? So this is, it's Trump telling the story the way that he wants to tell it on, frankly, a dying platform. But at least for the night he popped a rating for him.
Speaking of New York, I want to ask you about a significant verdict that was reached yesterday. I know this is something you want to weigh in on as well.
This is
Manhattan
so
jury
funny.
found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll.
Yo, listen, okay, Joy Behar, nothing against you. I'm sure you might have been funny back in the 40s whenever you were touring, but for you to say that Trump is not a very good comedian, I don't even know what to say about that. You're just a spiteful old bag.
And defamed her. You've denied this, but what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. Okay. I think I'm the only person in history who had a charge like that. And usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, a very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in.
Yo. Remember. Anderson Cooper, everybody else that was up there, okay, the whole litany of them, Rick Wilson talking about it at the same time. Trump called a black police officer a thug. The only time that race comes up is when E. Jean Carroll is calling her former husband, yeah, because, somebody who's never, she's obviously not getting throttled at this point in time, but yeah, the only time that somebody makes a racist remark is Trump recanting a story on behalf of his crazy-ass accuser who, I don't know if you guys seen some of those Facebook posts that have been unearthed from our good friend Jean that is out there, but apparently she was back in the cut A huge Apprentice fan. Interesting. When exactly did The Apprentice run? Was that after 1996? Yeah, that was in the early 2000s, all the way through the 2010s. Big Apprentice fan. That was run by, oh, right, Trump. Yeah, I don't know about you, but if I was horrifically raped, I wouldn't be a big fan of the guy who's running a show, or at least I wouldn't put it out there in public like that. But that's also the same lady who was on CNN who said that a lot of people think of rape as sexy.
Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wasn't allowed to put that in. All of the...
I don't necessarily know what that has to do with anything. Maybe that's why her lawyers decided to play the grab her by the pussy tape, folks. Sometimes when you're a star, you're just allowed to get away with anything. It's wild what could happen. But yeah, she does have a cat. Its name is Vagina Fireball. Listen, when we were growing up, my sister had a couple of cats. She brought some cats home. 2 black cats, by the way. One was called Midnight, and I had the privilege of naming the other one. And I named the little black cat Jamal.
These things, but with her, they can put in anything. Access
This
Hollywood.
was a jury of 9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in...
She was 60 years old at the time? Oof. Jesus. Like, Trump at the height of his powers, like, that's just not that long after his appearance in, oh my God, not Home Improvement. Home Alone. Home Alone 2. Home Improvement with Tim Allen. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, some fucking bumbleclot writer, like, I don't know.
In the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me.
This is her story, by the
and
way.
And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department, so we had this great chemistry. And a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I...
Yeah, if that did happen, oh man, I really need to set up, because I got these macro keys on my keyboard. You know, I got the faggy keyboard that, you know, lights up and all that shit as well. But it has 9 macro keys. If I had the She Belongs to the Streets audio drop, that would be for right there. Because, yeah, if you just meet somebody off rip and then you decide to go fuck in a closet, okay, you know exactly what time it is. But did Trump already say that, yeah, Trump Tower was like right next door? So if he was going to fuck some slut that he just found off of the street, you know, just go ejaculate and evacuate, why wouldn't he go to his place that's right there instead of risk of getting caught and found out by breaking into a dressing room? Doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess.
No, but think of it.
I know you're recounting what you said, but Mr. President...
But let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just so you
jury,
understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped.
Yeah.
Okay, that was her charge. It wasn't.
That was the third charge. Not found liable of that, just sexual battery. Interesting. And then defamation on top of that. I find that incredibly weird. I never met her. Okay, you guys don't find him liable of doing that to her, and that was the crux of the defamation. Okay, he said for years, my story was suppressed for years, even though he didn't come out with it until he started to run for president. But yeah, he was not found liable of committing rape, which... Go to the police if that happens. Honestly, like, rapists don't even waste the cot space in jail. Just, you know, fucking throw them off of a bridge with cinder blocks tied to their feet, neck, and wrists. Like, worthless scum of people. But waits for a civil suit, and then she can't even prove her case when the Trump side didn't even put up a fucking defense.
You
they found.
abused her.
Say what they did. They said he didn't rape her. And I didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President, can I ask you, given your recounting
your version? I don't know who, and I tell you this.
But Mr.
Are you
President,
ready?
can I
and I
ask
swear on
you
my
because-
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr. President,
this is a
you're
fake
recounting your version
story.
of events here right now to the audience. You referenced the trial. You did not go to the trial and actually
That's right.
testify. Do you wish that you had
No,
testified?
it wouldn't have made a difference. This was a rigged deal. This was my lawyer said, sir, you don't have to do it. I actually said, I think I should. It would be respectful. They said, sir, don't do it. This is a fake story, and you don't want to give it credibility. That's why I didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
And I swear, and I've never done that, and I swear to I have no idea who the hell. She's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
you did not testify in person in this trial. There was a tape deposition of you from October in it. You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women how you want. Do you stand by those comments?
I said if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said if you're a star, you are, and I said women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said women let. You didn't use that word, but if you look, women let you. Now, they said, will you take that back? I said, look, for a million years, this is the way it's been.
Just going to address something because it's just too tough to type out. Okay. Sorry to base rumble, folks, but, just hey. Yeah, me personally, even though I'm a big Trump fan and all that stuff as well, and I keep a pulse on American politics, I'm from Alberta. Canada, Alberta, okay, Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada, the northern part. If you're familiar with the geography of Canada, Alberta is the second westernmost province. It's out there. It's kind of shaped like it's kind of got like a weird face or whatever, so it's got like a little nose on the western part of the country. Alberta's just a little bit northeast of that, so yeah, right there, just at the base of the Arctic Circle. It gets fucking cold, but as of right now, it's hot as shit. You can kind of see the sweat just billing up on top of me, but thanks to that fan doing a little bit. But no, Alberta, it's been referred to, a lot of people tell me, folks, it's like the Texas of Canada. It's an incredibly based province, and for the most part, Edmonton's kind of going, that's the capital city. It's going a little bit, super commie with the NDP, which is our version of kind of the more socialist Democrat side of this stuff. And then Calgary, the biggest city, is also just completely nosedive into that stuff. I did a video on the mayor outlawing protests of tranny clinics for kids. Calgary used to be so great. It's a beautiful city, by the way, but there's a lot of tents that are down there. Same with Edmonton as well. But Alberta in general right now, it's a great place. I love it here, but relatively low taxes, but low taxes for a Canadian is like, saying that, oh, it's not so bad when you live outside of the state or outside of the big city in New York. It's not that bad. Still pretty much fucking ass cancer. You got to donate about a third to 40% of your check every month, but it fucking is what it is until I can move out or move out of the city. Move out of the province and the country as well. But yeah, like a vested interest because in American politics, because wherever America goes, the rest of the developed world follows. So if you don't keep a pulse on that, you're kind of doing yourself a big disservice. Hopefully that clears up anything. I try to also not sound like a stupid fucking Canadian, because I think Canadian accents, on the hierarchy of accents, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like an old Southern woman accent, that one creeps me out the most, because just the slow drawl and the way that they enunciate some words drives me up the wall. But yeah, the stupid Canadian accent, when you got that talk and you go outside and you know what I'm talking about, it makes me want to put my head through the fucking drywall. So I try very hard to enunciate anything. So hopefully that clears that up.
I want to be honest.
Not that anybody asked, right?
But I can take it back if you'd like to, but if you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying people that are famous, people that are
You were
stars,
asked in the deposition,
people
do you
that are
consider
rich,
yourself to be a star,
people
and
that
you
are
said
powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1 million years, approximately 1 million years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those comments?
Well, I don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
here's what
questions.
she wants
Mr.
me to say.
President, let's get to the
rich and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage. And I say unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
You said fortunately or unfortunately.
Well, fortunately
but Mr. President,
or
we have a lot of
unfortunately for
audience
her.
questions to get to tonight. I want to go back to the audience. We've got Danielle Rieger. She works as an oral surgery assistant. She's a Republican activist from Derry. She was a New Hampshire delegate for you in 2020. What's your question?
Hi, thank you so much for coming to New Hampshire to answer our questions. My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the prices for everything skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill.
And that's also, it actually just kind of ties back into my Alberta rant. We're sitting on one of the biggest caches of natural gas, oil sands, everything that you want to do. And that also, lends to my extensive knowledge about the oil and gas industry, because from the time I was 16 until I was about, God, I really got to get my timeline straight when it comes to this stuff, because I always forget when I went back to college. But yeah, working in high school on the weekends, going out with my father, working with him on out in the oil and gas industry, working on hydrovac. If you don't know what that is, it's fine. It's very niche and it's very painful, but I've been out there and I've seen fracking leases, I've seen drilling rigs, I've seen everything that you can possibly know about that, and I know how safe and secure and environmentally friendly the oil and gas industry is. So whenever I hear some fucking half-cocked gender studies majors talk about how detrimental the oil and gas industry is, they don't know a fucking thing about that. I've been out to leases that are completely covered in outside of the pipeline right away, outside of that, with more wooded areas been filled back in after the digging occurs. It's a pristine bit of land. You would think that it's a national park the way that those things are maintained and taken care of. It's the most restorative process that you can see out there. Okay, they troll the bush, they take out all of the dead and decaying fallen brush, and then once everything's done, they replant more new trees than they took down to begin with. It's a totally restorative process. So yeah, by drilling, that can also help us as well. Finish that fucking Keystone XL pipeline, then we can start shipping the shit that's down here, drop everybody's energy bills through the fucking floor, make things more affordable across the fucking spectrum. It's that easy. Just fucking do it. That was one of the first things that Biden did on day one. Cancel the Keystone XL pipeline and then put the fracking ban that's on there. Oh, it's only on federal land. Well, if you know anything about pipelines, the way that you transfer all of those natural resources, you have to go through different states in order to move anything. You can go a couple of places within the confines of a larger state, but if you're making any sort, especially the Keystone XL pipeline, it goes through like 5 different fucking states. And if you're trying to put anything from a refinery, you're drilling in North Dakota, you're trying to get it down to Texas, how many different states you have to go through right there. So obviously you can't drill on federal land. That fucks everybody up. So yeah, drill baby drill. That's great for everybody. Mexico has a whole bunch of natural resources as well, and you know how inexorably all 3 of us are linked together. Boy.
So we were energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I did. We got oil down to $1.87. Actually, it fell lower than that in some cases. We had to save the oil companies. The price was getting so. We were doing incredibly. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, probably the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. We were going to be bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together ×2. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it. And energy went from $1.87 and even lower for gasoline, for a car. They went from $1.87 to $5, $6, $7, $8, and even $9. And your electricity bills went through the roof, your heating bills went through the roof. And that's what started inflation. And it hasn't stopped because people are paying now for bacon and for eggs and for the 2 and 3 times what it was just a little while ago. We created the greatest economy in history. A big part of that economy was got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan cuts, bigger than any. And also, Kaitlan, as you know, we got the biggest regulation and regulatory cuts. This place was rocking. And then we were given a gift from China, and China paid a big price. And let me tell you something. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time. But we had, prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So we had the greatest economy in the.
Maybe it came from a lab. Maybe it came from a wet market. Do you really think do people think that it came from a bat? Just a bat hanging up in a wet market? I don't believe that, especially with the wet market right next to a lab. You guys, come on. Do you actually believe that? I don't think so. But again, just cast your minds back to 2017, 18, and 19.
things were awfully fucking good. I remember, like, up here, like, the equivalent for gas prices, it was like 60 cents. I hadn't seen 60 cents per liter. I think that transfers to about might be a little north of 4, but that's what it was up here, okay, per gallon in the States, but then per liter it was about 68 to 69 nice cents per liter up here at a couple of different points in time in 18 and 19. Things were going fucking great, and that was even on top of, you know, the stupid NDP, which I'll talk more about that election, because on the 29th, that's probably what I'll do a simul stream on, because there's a big Alberta election that's happening there. So I'm going to look forward to that, I guess, or I don't know, just watch me lose my hair if the NDP ends up getting through on that one. But yeah, the Trump economy for the 3 years that he was actually in charge and not being beholden to the experts, she was pretty fucking good. Across the board, everybody was doing better than what they're doing right now. Guarantee.
The world. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive as an industry and as a cost. It lifted everything. If you made donuts, no matter what you did, and we had inflation, the likes of which I guess we haven't had, as you said, for 52 years, but I think more than that. We had no inflation. We had the lowest energy prices we've had in decades. This country was rocking and rolling. And by the way, we had the most secure border in the history of our country.
Mr. President, we have more questions on the economy. I want to make sure we get to all of those. As you know, the U.S. right now could be just 3 weeks away from defaulting on its debt. That could mean millions of jobs lost, people not getting their Social Security payments. People believe it would put the U.S. economy into a recession. On that topic, I want to bring in Marta Cervella, a student here at St. Anselm. She is an undeclared voter who did not vote in 2020. Marta, what's your question?
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi,
so my question is, what do you think about the United States' current debt situation, and how can we move forward?
Such an important question. So we're at $33 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible.
What's the metric? 60% of all currency in circulation, I think, just in the United States. It could be for the world, though. I might be mixing my stats up. It was all printed in 2020 and in 2021. That's a big fucking problem, okay? And eventually those chickens are going to come home to roost.
We had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in. Like literally, we were making a fortune. And oil, we were going to make so much money from oil, we were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive because it was so serious. But we have to get the country back. We have to lower energy prices. We have to lower interest rates. Interest rates are through the roof. Energy has to come down. It all has to come down. And we have to start paying off debt.
Yeah, and the Fed's probably going to raise interest rates by another 25 basis points. God, when's the next meeting? Either at the end of this month or at the end of June. Like, it's supposed to go up at least 3 more times through this year, which would account for... There was a 75-point raise. There was a 50. Probably looking at about 3 or 4 basis points, like right up at the top, 3 or 4 percentage points on interest rates. Like, you're playing a dangerous game at that point in time where if everything collapses, oh, hey, man, it's almost like the Democrats know they could only get away with it once. They could get one term out of this and then just put all of the economic turmoil on somebody's plate. But this guy's kind of the best suited candidate in order to actually handle that. So we'll see. I'm hoping for the best. Like, I actually hope that Biden turns around the economy, but we already know what he's on about.
But
white supremacy
we have
is terrible.
A debt limit,
Thanks,
and they use that very seriously. I mean, Schumer came in with Nancy Pelosi, and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They talked a whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default.
Yeah.
And I don't believe they're going to do a default because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave because you don't want to have that happen. But it's better than what we're doing right now because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans are demanding?
You might as well do it now because you'll do it later. Yeah. Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
No. You can't stump him. Yo, this bitch.
You're out of office.
Because now I'm not president.
She had all this time to think of a comeback.
The U.S. defaulting would be massively consequential.
I'm just going to continue to move on. Yo.
For everyone in this room, for all of
you don't know. It's psychological. It's really psychological more than anything else. And it could be very bad. It could be maybe nothing. Maybe you have a bad week or a bad day. But look, You have to cut your costs. We're spending $7 trillion on, much of it on nonsense. $7 trillion on nonsense.
We've got another
I actually
question from a
said,
voter tonight.
get all of that money that was wasted, and frankly, the Senate should have never approved it. Get all that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default. Okay?
Mr. President, we've got another voter here
And
tonight.
by the way, you're going to default eventually anyway, but it's going to be much messier.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll have to default. I think if the Republicans hold strong and they say we want let's say we want $5 trillion off,
everything.
I really think the Democrats have no choice but to do it. And if I win, they're going to be doing the same thing to me in 2 years. I guarantee you that.
Mr. President, we've got
play a
another
very
voter
hard
here
ball game,
tonight.
and they did that before.
Bobby Petrino has been waiting very patiently.
Sure.
He's a student at St. Anselm. He's a member of College Republicans. He's an undeclared voter.
He is a 18-year-old kid trapped in a 55-year-old man's body. He looks like a progeria version, or actually a Benjamin Button version of Bobby Kotick. Nobody's going to get that joke.
Right now, he supported you in 2020. Bobby, what's your question for President Trump?
Hi, thank you for coming. This is a bit of a pivot, but with gun violence and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that state governments and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights.
Oh, no.
Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and the ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
Yeah, as you know,
this was the only response that I heard from Trump that I did not like, because he kind of diminishes bump stocks. It's the way that he justified it back when they ended up getting banned right after, I think, the Las Vegas shooter, who, man, any day now, alongside the Tranifesto from the Nashville shooter, we're going to get some more information about the Nashville shooter. But no, I'm sorry, the Las Vegas shooter. But yeah, banning bump stocks, because that's just a spraying. Nobody cares. The NRA, they just say, you know, it's just a great way to spend a lot of money by wasting a lot of ammo. You don't shoot very well. Trying to justify getting rid of a spring and it's an attachment on a firearm, that's not good precedent to set or to establish. Okay, that's just not going to end up working in the long term, because okay, if you use that rationale to get rid of a spring and a little bit of a plastic case, you could do the exact same thing. Okay, well, why do you need a scope? Why do you need to? You can't shoot 1,000 yards. You need a specialized rifle in order to shoot that far. You don't normally need that for just for regular hunting rifle. See that slippery slope? You don't need to set that precedent. That's why I didn't like this answer, but the way that he pivots out, he definitely recovers, but it's the weakest answer. It's the weakest one.
You know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing. And NRA, I went with them and they said
trying to
it
diminish
doesn't mean
that.
anything. Or actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately.
And the NRA, yeah, they're good when it comes to the nuts and bolts of firearms, but kind of a toothless organization. Gun Rights for Americans, or the Second Amendment Foundation, I think that one's far more credible or reputable, where a lot of the good people prior to the NRA's current regime, they went over and they started, I think those are the two names of those foundations. I know the Second Amendment Foundation is one of them, but Gun Rights for America, it should be. I think somebody might be able to clarify, but I think
so. We did that. There's been nobody that's protected the Second Amendment, as you know, like I have. I protected it through thick and thin, not easy to do. But we have a very big mental health problem in this country. And again, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our Second Amendment. We have to protect our Second Amendment.
Mr. President, you dealt with a lot of mass shootings when you were in office. This year, there have already been more than 200 mass shootings in 2023. If you are reelected, are there any new gun restrictions that you would sign into law?
I would do numerous things. For instance, schools, we would harden, very, very much harden. And I'm a very believer. I believe in teachers. I love teachers. I think they're incredible. And they love the children, not quite like the parents, but they love the children in many cases almost as much. Many of these teachers are soldiers, ex-policemen. They're people that really understand weapons. And you don't need 5% of the teachers would be more than you could ever have if you're going to hire security guards. But in addition to that, have security guards, you have to harden your entrances. You have to make schools safe. And you can make other places safe. But it is a big mental health problem in this country more than anything else. And remember, we have 700 million guns, 700 million. Many
meme on the Rumble side, if you don't mind.
People, if they don't have a gun, they're not going to be very safe. I mean, if they don't have a gun, it gives them security. Now, you need them for entertainment, you need them for hunting, you need them for a lot of different things. But there are people that if they didn't have the privilege of having a gun in some form, many of them would not be alive today. You know, there's a certain country that had a very strict policy on guns, very, very strict.
Which country?
One of them boys?
And Brazil, okay. Brazil, very strict. And
tried to fact check him. Hilarious. And yeah, you guys were talking about, I've seen Mr. Reagan stuff before. I've at least seen his avatar, and yeah, if he said 95 times that she interrupted him, I totally agree, and that's why it was okay. The way that she was set up to do this stuff, it's always, oh, if Trump ever does good, oh, it's a catastrophe because the media's inherent bias against Trump. But as you can see so far, he's getting all of his points out, and she looks feeble just trying to interject, no, you can't do that. But then when she gets stumped a couple of different times, like she's been put completely on the back foot. At least twice. Well, I'm not president anymore. Not president. Fuck. Okay, you got me.
The former president of Brazil, and the killing was incredible.
Bolsonaro?
They were walking into people's homes and killing people.
Oh, no,
they had no
prior to him.
protection. He said, go out and buy guns. People went out and bought guns, and it went way down. The numbers went way down because they had security.
Same thing with rural crime in 2020 with the gun sales that went up.
You look at Chicago. Chicago has the single toughest gun policies in the nation. They are so tough you can't breathe. New York, too, and other places also. All of those
Big blue
places are the
cities.
worst and most dangerous places.
So-
So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President. I want you to meet Julie.
Why would you expect a Republican to sign gun restrictions? Makes zero fucking sense.
Miles, a registered nurse from Merrimack. She's a Republican who voted for you in 2020. Julie, what's your question for the president?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate you answering this question this evening. How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
It's such a great question.
The way that he could have taken that with, okay, listen, I know that you're a lovely lady, but clearly you're on the other side of giving birth. But I'm sure you might have a daughter or something like that. You're still a beautiful woman, great woman, fantastic woman. Would I grab? No, probably not. I would grab you. But you know what? Hey, maybe if you got a daughter or something like that, send her my way. It'll be great, fantastic. We got lovely cars. But the way that he could have taken that question right there and then just capitulated to, yeah, I know, like abortion's healthcare and shit like that. But the way that he handles this, it's just, hey, finally kicked it down to the states. It's their choice on that one. Now we have negotiating power. Excellent frame control.
And it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made. And look, everybody that was precedent wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years, Republicans. For 50 years, this has been going on, actually a couple of Democrats too, but for 50 years.
Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wrote a whole, at least a couple of different papers on the illegality of that decision and who is she appointed by? Bill Clinton. Right. Okay, so.
Years, this has been going on. I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it. But by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And I happen to believe in the exceptions, the life of the mother, rape, incest, like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions. But I happen to believe that.
No.
I think it's.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And for me, whatever is medically viable outside of the mother, then it's a human life and it's enshrined by the Constitution. That's my stance when it comes to that stuff. Okay, so I guess that would make me pro-choice, but pro-choice up to 6 weeks. If you can't figure out that you're not bleeding when you're supposed to, it's like you're too fucking dumb. So then you could also that gets into a eugenics argument. So I won't finish that.
It's frankly important to do that, but a lot of people are. Against that, a relatively small number. But the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? They said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do if
No, but
you
these are the radical people.
reelected?
It's not the pro-life people that are radical.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
Here's that big government argument that I alluded to a little bit earlier. Hey, will you just go ahead and supersede the will of the states in order to enforce the overarching narrative? Because again, the wills of the people in Alabama, Louisiana, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, all of the different states across the entire union, the east, the Northeast, and then also SoCal, they're all the same. That's why the stupid minimum wage argument is so fucking brain dead, because $15 an hour goes a hell of a lot farther in Fayetteville, North Carolina, than it's going to go in fucking Buffalo, New York. hated to use, I couldn't think of anywhere else quickly off the top of my head, but the United States is such a big place. By just having federal government overreach on things, it's ineffective. And if that's what you're stumping for, I don't know, man, kind of off.
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that I was able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300.
One good one. Yeah, one good one.
Federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into law.
I said this.
She
I want
said
to do
nothing.
what's right. And we're looking. And we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating.
What's a high-value man? Meme will get that. Nobody else will. You guys will tomorrow, though. I'll fill you in.
Capability, because you didn't have it before. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born. Now they won't be able to do that.
But I think this is a really important question for you to answer, because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about, is would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot of people said in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it. And because of what I've done, we now have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life. I negotiate. We have a great negotiating ability, and I think we're going to be able to get something done.
What do you mean negotiating ability? Because the question that Republicans have, and some of your allies on Capitol Hill say that they want to introduce legislation when it comes to banning abortion. If they send it to your desk, would you sign it?
Some people are at 6 weeks. Some people are at 3 weeks,
Where's
2
President
weeks.
Trump?
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country. But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life.
I just want to give you one more chance, though, because you did not answer whether or not you'd sign a federal abortion ban or how many weeks into pregnancy you believe abortion should be banned.
Yeah, but
keep a pin in this argument. It will be very helpful over the next couple of days as well.
I've given you the answer probably 4 times already.
Which one
I'm
is it,
looking.
though?
I'm looking at a solution.
I am going to listen to the will of the people and make a decision from there. What they want is what they will get. We have to have those conversations. Christ, it's contextual. Imagine that.
That's going to work. Very complex issue for the country. You have people on both sides of an issue, but we are now in a very strong position. Pro-life people are in a strong position to make a deal that's going to be good and going to be satisfactory for them. If you weren't able to get rid of, you wouldn't be having a discussion. If you weren't able to get rid of Roe v. Wade, which put pro-life in a dead position, a horrible position, they could kill the baby at any time they wanted to. But we did something that nobody thought was doable. And other Republican presidents, and others, by the way, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states, but bringing it back to the states is a less important issue
But that's why
than
it's
the
the
issue
question
that we
about a
just talked
federal
about.
abortion ban. You did not say yes or no to that.
It
You did
depends
not say how many
it
weeks.
depends what the deal is. Lindsey Graham's
You did not say how
good
many
man.
weeks.
He's got an idea, and a lot of other.
Lindsey Graham, good man.
People have an idea, and I look at all the
And a lot of people
ideas,
will be curious what
I'll
your
make the right
idea is on
decision.
that. President Trump, we've got more questions to come for you tonight.
I'll
We'll
make
be
the
right
right
back
decision
in just a moment.
There we go. Shout out to the boys. Appreciate that, guys. Hey, man, you guys are doing a great service by broadcasting this. I just don't know what they say or anything like that, so I appreciate that you're adding the additional context, but they're also streaming. Here we go.
To the fact that they can't find people who don't like
Jennifer Simmons. She is a stay-at-home mom and former town selectman from Wyndham. She's a Republican, and she voted for you in 2020. Jennifer, what's your question tonight?
Good evening, Mr. President. Title 42 is expected to expire tomorrow. Our southern border and our northern border are experiencing record migration.
A northern border experiencing record migration. All right, guys, I got to go.
We learned on May 2nd that the Biden administration plans on deploying 1,500 troops to the southern border.
So stupid.
Do you agree with deploying troops to the border, and how will a Trump administration...
I don't know if you guys seen the tweet from Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, saying that, Biden's sending 1,500 troops to do paperwork. We're going to go ahead and deploy the Texas National Guard and, and try to do something about this. We're horribly understaffed, but thanks for the 1,500 pencil pushers.
slow down the rate of migrants coming across all our borders?
Sure. A very fair question, especially since tomorrow is going to be a day of infamy. You're going to have tens of thousands of people pouring into our country. Even the judge, the judge overruled them when they wanted to terminate it early. And he said, that you better extend this thing. The judge in Texas said, I hope you're going to extend this. But this is my policy that they're letting terminate because they lost in court. They wanted to go earlier. You're going to have millions of people pouring into our country right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. These people are sick. Anybody that wants this to happen to our country, they're destroying our country, and this should not be allowed to happen. How they're not going to do a version of Title 42 or my Title 42, which was tough. If people are sick and have infectious diseases and lots of other problems, we don't want them being into our country. We have enough problems right now. We have problems like we've never had in the history of our country.
But Mr. President,
our country is being destroyed.
The reason it's ending is because the health policy, the COVID era pandemic emergency is coming to an end. That's what Title 42 was. You put it in place because
That's
of COVID.
True, but when
it comes to big questions about what your immigration policy would look like if you are reelected, some of your Republican rivals have criticized you for not fulfilling the promises that you made on the campaign trail, like finishing the border wall. So how?
Oh my God, this is so great. But yeah, what would Trump's border policy be? We're gonna put a bunch of trebuchets. I know that's a big word for you, Kaitlan, but listen to me, okay? They've got the little basket at the end, and then they got a pulley system, and then it just flings people back over the wall. It's a great thing. You're gonna see a whole bunch of them down at the wall. They would just put them in there. We give them little pillows and blankets, so you know the wind's not too cold on them, that they'll have a little bit of a cushy landing. But that's fine. That's fine. Hopefully they can hit the water. It'll be nice. It'll be fantastic. But we'll just fling them back, and then just keep loading them back in and flinging them back, and make sure that they don't come back. And I'm gonna build the wall, the big beautiful wall. I'm gonna finish the wall, and everybody down there, Mexico's gonna pay for it. I don't care who subsidizes Mexico, but we're gonna build that wall. A lot of trebuchets. Kaitlan, it'll be great. I'll show you. I'll give you a little demonstration.
How did voters know that you would get those done if you're reelected?
I did finish the wall. I built a wall.
He didn't finish the wall, but he built a lot, and Caitlin's just going to blatantly lie.
Hundreds of miles of wall, and I finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more.
Caitlan, oh, shit, I need to finish my joke. Oh, my God, what's that Clydesdale's name? What's Torsh's mom's name? Ann Coulter. Kaitlan Coulter right here with that. You didn't finish the wall.
Because there are areas like water going through a dam. There are some areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another. And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election, I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged, Mr. President. You can't keep saying that all night long.
And so
Stop saying that. Stop bringing that up. That happened like 2 years ago. Just shut your mouth.
They took over and they decided not to finish it. It would have taken them 3 weeks. I built hundreds of miles of wall. If we didn't have it, it would be hard to believe it could be any worse. They're just letting people flow into our country. Look, a country has to have borders. There's never been anything like that is happening to our country right now.
You built about 52 miles of new wall when you were in office, Mr. President. It wasn't the complete wall. One other thing that with
no, but I have to respond to that.
With your immigration.
Yeah, see, she's partially right on that. So then people just end up, oh, okay, cool. What do they got here? So they got a Zero Hedge article. In major pivot ahead of Title 42 immigration catastrophe, Biden administration revised Trump-era border policy. Oh, okay. Interesting. But, yeah, where she says, oh, you only built 42 miles of wall and it didn't get completed. It's like, yeah, she's correct. It didn't get completed. But more than 52 miles. And then she also adds a little disclaimer after, who I don't know who's the little earworm that's in her there. The producer that's in her ear. For fuck's sakes, why was that so difficult to say? I tried to say a little earwig, but regardless, yeah. New wall. You only built 52 miles of new wall. Well, if everything else is being held up by duct tape and toothpicks, you could probably renovate that shit. Okay, that'd be pretty important.
Immigration, it was only about 52 miles of new wall.
This is what she does. I built hundreds of miles. Some of the wall was up there, and it would be laying on the ground, rusted, rotten steel, rusted, rotten wood, and what the radical left crazy Democrats did, if there's a piece of wood laying down, they consider that a wall. I built 30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, oh, he's not building a wall. We already had a wall. Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. One other immigration policy you had when you were in office.
I built new wall.
52 miles of
hundreds of miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I did is I replaced other wall that was laying down, that was up and rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't even see.
Mr. President, it was only about 52 miles of new wall. But moving on, another immigration policy you had was the zero.
I'm just going to go ahead and interject what I need to say on this one. It doesn't really matter what you're saying, but I'm just going to go ahead and try to bulldoze you. It was a tactic. It obviously didn't work.
Tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family.
Yes.
They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh.
They're not going to come.
But if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building prisons.
Would you re-implement that if you're reelected?
Well, we have to save our country, all right?
So it sounds like that's a yes.
When you say to a family that if you come, we're going to break you up, they don't come.
Yeah.
And we can't afford to have any more. Look at New York City. Look what's happening.
Why would he do that to the dreamers that are just trying to show up? But, yeah, because this happened a few days before Title 42 ended up getting lifted. But, what is it? A couple hundred migrants got dropped off in Chicago. I know another, Abbott sent another bus of 50 migrants to Kamala Harris's front door. She's the border czar, who's also the AI czar. Whew, we're fucked. Skynet, any day now, is going to be dropping the nuke, and we're all going to be looking like Sarah Connors ripping on the fucking chain link fence. But, no, it's hilarious, the people in Chicago freaking out about the migrants that are there. It's like, for everybody who gets shot over the weekend, like, they're just replacing all of the empty homes that you guys are creating on the south side.
Living in Central Park in New York City. The city is being swamped. Los Angeles is being swamped. Iowa is being swamped. Our whole country is being destroyed. Millions of people are coming into our country. And you know what the number is going to be, in my opinion, by the end of the year? Not the 4 million that you hear and the 3 million. I think it's going to be 15 million people. And in these people, they have no idea where they come from. They come from 129 different countries so far. 120, not just the 4 that we talked about.
Just to put a button on that, it sounds like what you're saying is that you're not ruling out re-implementing that immigration policy. I want to get to another voter. Kaitlan Boissonneau is a student here at St. Anselm College. She's a Republican. This will be the first election that she has voted in. What's your question for the president, Kaitlan?
Hello, President Trump. Hi. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
The current administration has made it clear that we should continue to provide military equipment to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves. Do you support this decision, and how would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
Here is the biggest mask-off moment I have seen from the face of from a mass media outlet. Just the response that Kaitlan Collins has. I'm going to try to let this play out as much as possible, but wow, is it startling.
First of all, thank you very much. It's really nice. And it's an important question, so important.
Very important.
Because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away.
Oh, and then, what was it? Russia just blew up a big NATO cache? Lol. Well, Ukraine also flew 2 drones into the Kremlin. Remember that happened 2 days ago?
So much. But here's the thing. I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened. And his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this would never happen.
The pipeline is for true. The invasion, don't know if it would have happened or not, but it definitely wouldn't have lasted this long because there would have been negotiations. There would have been deals at a peace talk, okay, that would have happened by now.
And all those dead people, both Russian and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, now, here's the problem. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy. They've given about 20. So we're at 170, let's say, and they're at 20. You don't have to know too much about history to realize, or geography, to realize that they're a little bit more affected than we are, okay? So they've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico.
But on this issue, Mr.
Also the same with the NATO funding as well. He got Europe to pay their share because what was the percentage that the United States was paying? Somewhere it was over 50, but I think it was less than 80. It was somewhere between like 75% of NATO's forces were being supplied, and the funding was being provided by the United States as well. Like it was definitely a sizable portion that was being footed over there. It's the same thing with this war, okay? Yeah, all of the people that were freezing in order to just stick it to Putin. But now they're buying secondhand Russian oil through the Saudi proxies, which is kind of fucking hilarious. But yeah.
President, I should know, I don't know any Democrats who have said they don't believe Putin would have invaded if you were president. But her question is,
I don't know any. I talked to all the Democrats. I am all the Democrats.
Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax number one when he said the president didn't do anything wrong. So I happen to like. Yeah, that's right. And I was totally exonerated, by the way. Just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached over that. You were impeached over that, but let's stay on topic here, Mr. President, because the question is, would you give Ukraine weapons
I was
and funding?
impeached by a crazy woman named Nancy Pelosi.
But the question here is, would you give Ukraine weapons and funding if you were
I would sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in 1 day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in 1 day?
First, I'll meet with Putin. I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weak.
I just got to say this first and foremost. Record turnout on Rumble. Shout out to you guys. This has been fantastic. And shout out to YouTube for not being gay and taking down the stream. This has been so much fun.
And they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
what do you... Can I just follow up on that? You said you don't think in terms of winning and losing.
You have to get Europe.
Yo. Oh, it must be on their end because... Yep, it's continuing to go. Oh, no.
I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win.
You know what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and they should be, and they should equalize.
That was okay. That was a quintessential point. That I was like, I was listening to this because I was running back the town hall when I was out on a run. Would that have been Monday or Wednesday morning? And I just about stopped in my tracks when I heard that. Who do you want to win the war? Who the fuck cares? Just end that shit. It's none of our fucking responsibility. But the media, it's been obvious. They're all stand with Ukraine. Putin's the devil because Russia has been the big bad forever. Except for when Obama told Mitt Romney, hey, Mitt, I need you to call 1980 and ask for their foreign policy back. Outside of that, Russia has always been the big bad for the United States. Interesting that they were just so fucking blatant about coming forward and cheerleading for Ukraine. End the fucking war. End the fucking... It doesn't matter. Just come to an agreement and fucking, end that shit and stop fucking funding it. It's a regional conflict. That's it. That's it.
They have plenty of money. They should equalize. I got with NATO. When I sat down, I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars that they weren't paying under Obama.
New Harvard Center, New Harvard Center for American Political Studies. Oh, okay, so a Harris poll released Friday found that 62% of those polled believe Putin would not be moving against Ukraine if Trump had been president. When looking strictly for the answers of Democrats and Republicans, 85% of Republicans and 38% of Democrats answered that way. Yeah, Republicans believe that Trump would have solved it. Democrats are a little bit more skeptical, but still, at the same point in time, that is just about 2/5 of people on the Democratic side believe that Trump would have handled it. And that's not even to compare and contrast what would have happened in comparison to, okay, do you think Biden would have done a better job or Trump would have done a better job? And that's also, a Harvard poll, a Harris poll. Hugely left-leaning poll. Like there's very
Bush,
few that are
and
decent.
all of these other presidents. That's why they're able to help them fight the war because of the money I got. But I want Europe.
What's happening in Ukraine?
I want Europe to put up more money because they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of jerks. We're spending $170 billion for faraway land, and they're right next door to that land, and they're in for 20. I don't think so.
When it comes to what's happening there, when you were in office, you said that you respected President Putin. Do you still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He's a smart guy. I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. He said President Xi of China, right, is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people. He's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, he's a smart guy. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart. He's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his mistake?
His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Do you believe that he is a war criminal?
What?
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal?
Hey, do you want to get on national television and say that a leader of a foreign country is a war criminal? That would be great. Like, just the optics on this is so fucking stupid. Ron DeSantis took the bait in the interview with Piers Morgan. Yeah, Putin's a war criminal and he needs to be held to task because that's what his Bushite handlers told him to say because they need the forever war. But Trump's up there going, he's a smart guy. Xi's a smart guy. 1.5 billion people that he has control over. He's a smart guy. You can't be no dummy if you're going to be in control of that many people. That's what people tell me. You got to be a smart guy. I would much rather be discussing things with a smart guy as opposed to a stupid guy. Because we got a stupid guy. And he's in the White House right now, folks. He's a very dumb guy. Dumb.
He's responsible for the deaths of thousands
Well,
of
I think
Ukrainian
this.
men
I
and
think
women
it's
and
something
civilian
that
children.
should not be discussed now. It should be discussed
Yeah.
later, because right now we have to get a war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal, where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, under the other circumstances.
There you fucking go. Instead of just running off at the mouth. Wow, the guy who is going to be so erratic and get the United States and the world into a nuclear holocaust is the guy who's being measured in his responses. Wow.
That's something to be discussed at a later date.
Isn't it
Right now,
important
we
to
want
call
to
it
get
what
that
it
war
is?
settled. And I'm not talking about the money either.
Where's your proof on that one? Because I've seen a lot of proof that maybe Zelensky, the guy who didn't mobilize his entire constituents and make them active participants in a war. How can you commit war crimes against active combatants in a war? Spoilers, you can't. You actually can't. But, as for the other side, people torture some of those Azov folks. They love to torture some ethnic ethnic Russians, don't they? Who's the war criminal? Oh, you don't want to talk about that because Zelensky's one of your guys.
I'm talking about all the
And
lives
them
that are being.
boys.
The number of people being killed in that war is far greater than you're hearing. When they blow up a city and those buildings come pouring down, and then they say 2 people were injured. No. Hundreds and thousands of people are being killed, and we have to get that war settled.
We have more with former President Trump. Right after this, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back.
Yeah, that's all of the ass kicking that she could take. Perfect expression by Trump right there. It's like, I can't believe this bitch. I'm just trying to end a war where a lot of people are dying, and she wants me to pick sides and pick a fight with Putin. I'm not in office right now, okay? Well, how would that benefit me to actually call him a worker? Can you believe this? That she's crazy. She's wild. Not as crazy as E. Jean or Crooked Hillary or Crazy Nancy, but she's right up there. She's definitely in my top 5. Crazy lady. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit, but again, shout out to the boys for actually getting this covered. This is the final break. They stand up next, and then we get our Don DeMarco moment here in a moment, and L ads on CNN. What the fuck? I guess, here we go.
Welcome back to CNN's Republican Presidential Town Hall with former President Trump. President Trump,
She is definitely hittable. Not like punching or anything like that, but would.
a lot more voters' questions I should note in here in New Hampshire to get to, but I also want to talk about some of the other investigations that you're facing. We talked about others at the top, but one of those is the special counsel's investigation into classified documents that were found at Mar-a-Lago. Why did you take those documents with you when you left the White House?
I had every right to under the Presidential Records Act. You have the Presidential Records Act. I was there, and I took what I took, and it gets declassified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 8.
Yeah, there's a couple of strings that could be attached to that where, okay, cool. If there was extenuating circumstances where those declassified documents ended up having unredacted information attached to another classified situation, like, it's hyper technical when it comes to that stuff, but that's a big old burden to prove, okay? So it's interesting. He does definitely have authority to declassify documents, and if the indictment does end up coming down and he does get charged with anything specifically, if it's just for handling classified information, then we're going to get a firm understanding of what the Presidential Records Act does in fact detail, because as the President of the United States, you have full and total declassification power. We'll have to see where that goes. Ultimately, if there ever is a charge, which I would anticipate if we're going to be hearing anything about that, probably around the end or the beginning of the year. Just saying.
1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking.
Is that the guy with the fucking cane that's just off stage? We got
classified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown.
Yeah, you see that guy? I'm half expecting a big hook to pop up because she doesn't do good when she's standing up.
They don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
I got to stop you right there
because
because
they talk about us. Just so you understand, I had every right to do it. I didn't make a secret of it. The boxes were stationed outside of the White House. People were taking pictures of the GSA of the various people.
I got to stop you right there, though, because the Presidential Records Act, which is not well known to a lot of people, I read it. It does not say that you can take documents with you. It says actually that they are the property of the federal government.
It says you talk, you negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the way. The Presidential Records Act is not criminal. And
everything's negotiable. Kind of like how much? Just asking. Just ask it.
Just so
it's
you
not
know,
that you can negotiate to take the documents with you.
Can I tell you? Just so you understand, the Presidential Records Act is not criminal. I took the documents I'm allowed to. You know who else took them? Obama took them. Nixon took them.
Obama
Reagan
did not
took
take
them.
documents.
Oh, he didn't?
The difference here that I'd like to note.
Reagan
National
took
Archives
them.
says that President Obama
Even
did
Jimmy
not
Carter,
take
even Mike
documents.
Pence had some documents, and he's a
You
very
referenced
honorable
Pence,
guy.
you referenced
But you know who
Biden.
took them more than anybody is Joe Biden. He has 1,800 boxes,
That's
and
not
nobody
accurate,
even knows
Mr.
where they
President,
are.
you know that.
1,800, and nobody talks about him.
Mr. President,
And they
it's not
and they
accurate.
put a rough guy.
Even when he's in office, folks, they don't talk about him. Nobody tells me about him. He's terrible. He's awful. He just hides in his boxes. He makes a little fort out of them. It's crazy.
On us, and they, in the
I think it's
meantime, they have
important, Mr.
nobody.
President, to actually set the record straight here. They took
Oh
documents,
my God,
including
you're such a
Vice
buzzkill.
President Pence. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over. The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was
Excuse
a year
me.
and a half effort that
Excuse
included
me.
a subpoena
Hey.
with those documents. One question about
It
what happened
included
when
a
you had
raid
those
on my
documents.
house. That's what it included.
But
They
you had
didn't
gotten
raid.
you'd gotten a
They
subpoena
didn't raid
and they had not
Biden's
been
house.
turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? They put him in the house. That's the one with the Corvette, where the documents were laying all over the floor. That was fine. And you know who happens to be at Mar-a-Lago? Secret Service, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
I have Secret Service.
And those boxes, by the way, if you read through some of the other documents that were attached to that investigation, all of the classified documents that he discussed and he negotiated with NARA beforehand, they said, oh yeah, just make sure that there's a padlock on that door. In order to get into the room where all the classified documents were, the FBI raided and they had to break the padlock off the door. There's no negotiations that are allowed to happen. Okay.
He didn't have Secret Service. The other thing, the vice president cannot declassify. He didn't have the right to declassify. He has documents from when he was a senator.
Theoretically, okay, and that's why it would be interesting to see with the Presidential Records Act, like what could end up happening now. So because Biden is the president, he can declassify anything that he has in his possession. So could he retroactively declassify the 1,850 boxes that he has? That's an interesting quandary we find ourselves in. So if he can do that now, could Trump do that for his documents?
And even Democrat senators say, I can't believe it. No, I went by the Presidential Records Act,
That's not
and
what
we
the
were
Presidential
negotiating
Records
with
Act
NARA.
says. That's not what it says,
And
Mr.
NARA has
President.
red flagged a thing called the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights because they consider them
Mr.
dangerous
President, that's
documents.
not what it
Those
says,
are the people we're dealing with.
I should note that there is a special counsel investigating your document situation, also President Biden's document situation. When it comes to your documents, did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were
What do you mean
declassified.
not?
Brace for impact. Don't drink anything right now. You'll spit it out.
Really?
Not that I can think of. Let me just tell you, I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely
But you don't
extremely
negotiate
left group
with
of
them.
people. Extremely left.
Yo.
And I was negotiating with
They're
them.
not
All of a
left,
sudden,
they're
they
bipartisan.
raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like
Joe
you
Biden
did. And so
took
that's the question.
1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then it
Yo, listen, there was two different instances here, and again, just perfect face control right there. But you can hear the titters in the audience when she would interject. You heard one just a little bit before that. Maybe that's because I got headphones on, but you just heard an audible one before that, so that's why Trump goes in for the kill right here.
given you a subpoena to return
Are you
them.
ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
And that's the mic drop. And he could have just walked off stage right now. Should have got the handler that we just peeked off stage, you know, to just... All right, she's about to soil this white pantsuit. We got to get her to the fuck off the stage. All right, Mr. Trump, wave to the crowd, wave to the people, smile at the people, handshake with the people. But what's the little bumper that they have right here? White House starts moving Obama's records to Chicago. Oh, he didn't take any classified documents. Oh, okay. Oh, November 1st, 2016. Just before he was about to move out. Interesting. A week before the election.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating, and we were talking to...
She has a Triple H nose. That's wild.
NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want.
And he doesn't miss a beat.
When we left
How can you not
Washington,
say he's hilarious?
we had the boxes lined up on the sidewalk outside for everybody. People are taking pictures of them. Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden had his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. And you're going to find some real gems in there.
But it was
So
Biden
you
who
can't have
alerted
all
them that
these
he had the
different sets of-
documents.
all
The
these
National
different
Archives
sets of-
reached out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena
Because we were
asking for you to turn
negotiating
them
with
over?
them. We were negotiating with them as per as per the Presidential Records Act. We were negotiating with NARA.
That's not what the
Very nice
Presidential Records
people,
Act says. I've
but they
seen
got to
it.
love our Constitution a little bit more, and they shouldn't red flag it, by the way. Very nice people. We were negotiating with NARA, and that's what the Presidential Records Act says, because Richard Nixon, surprisingly, had problems, and he had a lot of problems dealing with NARA, and they ended up passing legislation called the Presidential Records Act, just for this kind of a thing. We were dealing with them. We were talking. Excuse me. Wait a minute. Wait. We were talking to them.
Excuse me.
We would have done it, but all of a sudden they raided the house. Now, why hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to you why.
No.
It's because he they alerted the government that they had those documents and had them come and get the documents from his house. My question for you, though, when it comes to documents, do you still have any classified documents in your possession?
You ready?
Do you?
No, I don't have anything.
No, shut up.
I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them. But
no, you
why?
have to declassify
Let me ask
them.
you a question.
By going bibbity bobbity boop, I declassify you. Yeah, imagine that. But he didn't say the special words. He didn't, he didn't repeat after me.
Why is it that Biden had 9 boxes in Chinatown?
China.
And he gets a lot of money from China. Why is that? And
There
why,
is no
why
evidence
aren't
of that,
people?
Mr. President.
I think earlier that day there was the discovery from the House Select Committee or the House Oversight Committee, James Comer. $10 million went to the big guy. Oopsie daisy, gets a lot of money from China.
You can
Why
there is no evidence of that, Mr.
And why don't they put this guy Jack Smith and his group of thugs? Why don't they put him in charge of that?
I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after
that's
leaving
at the
the
University
vice
of Pennsylvania.
presidency.
Well,
He had a temporary office. But I want to ask about another investigation
You're so
that you're
wrong.
facing.
You don't know the subject.
I do know the subject.
He had
and I
one
do
at
know the
University
facts,
of
Mr.
Pennsylvania,
President.
but he
You don't know the I know the subject. You don't know this. I know the subject. You don't.
also had
I want
9
to move on to
boxes
another
in
investigation that
Chinatown.
you're facing, which is the one that's happening in Georgia, where they are investigating your efforts to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia. At the center of
I think that video that I did on that phone call where we listened to it, it's like a 50-minute long phone call. Yeah, a lot of context is missing in the way that the media reports it. I know, right? You're shocked too.
Perfect phone call.
Let me finish my question.
Perfect.
At the center of that is that call that you had with the Secretary
Perfect
of State,
call.
Brad Raffensperger.
Perfect. Yeah,
sure.
Given the fact that there are indictments expected to come in that case this summer,
Are there?
is that a call you would
Oh,
make
right, that
again
was that
today?
crazy
Yeah, I called questioning the election. I thought it was a rigged election. I thought it had a lot of problems. I had I guess he's Secretary of State. I called, listen to this.
Yeah.
There are like 7 lawyers on the call, many of them from there. We're having a call, we're having a normal call. Nobody said, oh, gee, he shouldn't have said that. Why? If this call was bad, I questioned the election.
You
if
asked
this
him to
call
find
was
you
bad,
votes.
I didn't ask him to find anything. Let me
We've
just
heard
tell
the
you,
audio
if
tape,
this
Mr.
call
President.
was
There's an
bad,
audio of you asking him to
I
find you
said,
11,000
you owe
something
me votes.
Yeah, go and take a look at what's down there. All we need is, 11,000 or something like that. You can go down there. You can go take a look at the votes. Just go count them. Just go count. I think it wasn't Cobb County. Was it DeKalb? Wherever the majority of Georgia is. It might be Cobb County, but I think DeKalb was in there as well. Because they wanted to give him, and they gave him a recount of some bumfuck nowhere county in Georgia where it's like, okay, we weren't questioning that. We're questioning Atlanta where, a pipe burst, but then it didn't. But then there were suitcases. But they weren't suitcases. They were just big black boxes that look like suitcases, but aren't necessarily suitcases because they don't have a Samsonite logo on them. What the fuck ever, but no, there was no interference. Shut up. It was safe and secure. Times magazine said it was fortified. Shut up.
Because the election was rigged. That election was rigged. And if this call was bad, why didn't him and his lawyers hang up? How dare you say that? This was a perfect
They were
phone
clearly
call.
concerned enough. They recorded the call, and I should note that, of
This
course,
was a call that was made to question the results of election. And when we can't make a call to question election results, then this country ought to just forget about it.
you weren't just questioning the election results.
I was
You were asking
questioning the
him to
election.
find you votes. And I should note that there is no evidence of fraud. There is no rigged election in the state of Georgia. I want to get back to the audience, though, Mr. President, because those are false claims you're making about what happened in Georgia. Jordan Sullenberger is here. He's an undeclared voter.
This bitch has to get the last fucking word in every single time because everything you're saying about Georgia is not fair. It's funny how she didn't have that same energy for the Wisconsin stuff.
From Hollis. He voted for you in 2020. Jordan, what is your question for President Trump tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
I think this is the
I'm
last
26.
question.
I'm a veteran. I help manage a private aviation company.
Person.
You want a job?
I'd love one. Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody very good.
I'm not for mandates or
Yo, he's feeling himself right now. This is hilarious.
government interference in private business, but I've
Right.
seen Republicans going after us like DeSantis after Disney.
Right.
What would you do as president to protect us from government interference?
Well,
I think it's funny that DeSantis is going after Disney, but I've done a couple of videos on that, and it's a battle that he could ultimately end up losing, but it's interesting. I know that there's more learned people on that, so I just take my shots wherever I see them because, DeSantis is such a squishy target.
I'm the one that really wants to protect you. All of these fake investigations of me are about election interference. They think because I'm leading Biden by 11 points, 7 points, 9 points, I'm leading DeSanctimonious by a lot, by 40 points or 40.
You know, it's not quite as clunky when he says it out loud like that. Like, it reads very stupidly, but it's got a good ring to it. I like DeSimps for his fans, though. I think I've seen that most from Robert Barnes. Very funny, very funny.
5 points. I think he ought to just relax and take it easy and think about the future, because right now his future is not looking so good. I will tell you this.
I did a video about Vivek Ramaswamy. That's going to be coming out within the next couple of weeks. But that second tier of candidate that's going to be on the debate stage for the first round of official Republican presidential, with primary challengers, it's not going to look good for Ron, because Ron, very good governor of Florida. Can't take that away from him, okay? But when it comes to charisma and public speaking, Ramaswamy will totally fucking take his lunch. And then when Trump shows up, you see what he's doing to CNN's best and brightest. Like, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath that's up there. All that is just going to show the lack of charisma, the lack of talent that the Republican Party has in comparison to Donald Trump. Not saying that the bench isn't deep. It's far better than that to the Democrat side, because if the best they can do outside of Joe Biden is RFK, who's fine on some things, he's just fine, and like, I don't know what Tulsi Gabbard's doing at this point in time, but yeah, outside of that, the AOC, who's that motherfucker, Hakeem Jeffries, I know that they're gonna run what's his nuts, Gavin Newsom, probably in 28, but I don't think Patrick Bateman's making it to the White House. Lord have mercy if he does, because California might very well be defaulting by then. Holy shit.
We are really putting it to Biden, but he's putting it to himself, because the economy stinks, inflation is horrible, and the border is a disaster. And by the way he got out of Afghanistan was the single most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Mr. President, I have one more question for you here tonight, and I think while we're in front of the voters here in New Hampshire, this is a fundamental question for you. You are running in the 2024 race. If you are the Republican nominee and you are in that 2024 race, will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election, absolutely, I would.
Will you commit to accepting the results of the election regardless of the outcome?
You want me to answer it again? If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored to.
Yo.
And right now, we are so far ahead of both Democrat
PNG.
and Republican.
That's hilarious.
And you know what? If I don't win, this country is going to be in big trouble. It's so sad to see what's happening.
But no commitment there on the accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
If it's an honest.
Oh my God. Hey, do you want to accept the election results 18 months out? You fucking stupid.
Election, correct.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024 election results or acknowledging what happened in 2020. President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight. This is an important conversation with voters to hear.
Yo, look at her body language, not even coming close to where he's at, and he's just looking over. It's like he already just made it clear. It's like, I just fuck off already. Was that with his far hand or with his close hand? I got to check that for a second, because...
here and to have. Thank you to our audience and to our host, St. Anselm College. CNN's coverage continues. President accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
If it's an honest election, correct. I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024 election results or...
Oh my God, just complete and total nonchalant, just disrespect for her every being, which is totally deserved at that point in time. But that's where the town hall wraps up. And like, okay, a lot of people say it was a catastrophe, it was terrible, but no, I didn't see that at all whatsoever, okay? And now, we still got a little bit of time, and I'm just going to go ahead, and we got a couple of other, but then I also, actually, I think it just resets off the back of this anyways. But once again, shout out to Badlands Media for putting that on, because it was tough finding just a straight stream of that, because CNN didn't put up, they got their goofy-ass little clips, but... did I play that one already? Because I think one of those is the View clip. Okay, good. No, I just got 2 clips off of this one, so we got... It's not going to be butt pooper here. It's going to be, there was a little, viewer panel off the back of this. I got to have a drink of water here. My voice is starting to go. But, yeah, voters from Town Hall weigh in on Trump's performance. So what did the average American think of Trump's performance out there? Okay, we're just going to go ahead and I got 1.25 because we were watching the previous Town Hall on 1.25 speed. So we got all of the well poisoning from the media Monday morning quarterbacking that, telling you that it was a disaster. I don't know what town hall they were watching. Kaitlan Collins was being, I think we're after the 2-hour mark, just a fucking lecherous cunt, just continuing to fucking bark up the Trump tree, and him just going expertly right through that, just weaving through all of her poisonous jabs and coming out the other side looking fantastic. So whenever you hear that, it was a catastrophe, oh, what a disaster, you know what that immediately tells me? Oh, Trump probably had a good showing because, yeah, oh, he's just going to be bloviating. All he's going to be doing is lying, outside of maybe exaggerating a couple of things, which even Trump supporters can kind of realize that tends to do that quite a lot. A lot of exaggerations. People tell me I'm their favorite president of all time. I'm one of the best that's up there. There's only been 46 of them. Well, they kind of negotiated for the 46, but out of the 45 presidents that are out there, a lot of people tell me I'm their favorite. I don't know. I wouldn't put myself up there. I think there's some good ones that are there. There's a couple of Roosevelts, but the Trump, they put him at the top. A lot of people tell me that. But for the average person that's out there, you know, they can reconcile that Trump is probably going to tell a couple of tall tales, but in actuality, he's going to manage the economy well. He's more or less going to put America first, and well, let's see what the town hall ended up. Well, their little viewer selected panel. So these are CNN viewers who are responding to this. I seen this also go wild as well, so I haven't watched it, but we'll find it out. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. It's got no words on it.
Sense of how tonight's town hall with the former president played with some of New Hampshire's Republican and undeclared voters who were in the audience. Want to go to CNN, Gary Tuckman, who's with a group of them now. Gary?
Anderson, 8 people were with. They were in the audience. What they also have in common is none of them have voted in the...
Yo, what the fuck is this guy just... he's mic'd up in his throat. But yeah, Brian also brings up another good... oh, sorry. Ugh, a little bit of excess phlegm. But yeah, Brian brings up a good point. Yeah, they ended the town hall 20 minutes early because Kaitlan Collins was getting her shit pushed in. I couldn't imagine that going any longer without her completely losing her cool. Would have been funny to see her cry on stage, but we'll just see what goes on here. So yeah, good point, Brian. I forgot about that, but yeah, that's why you're a mod.
Either Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. 6 of them voted for Donald Trump in the past. 1 didn't vote in the past 2 elections. 1 was too young to vote. That's what they have in common, and most of them are Trump supporters.
It looks like Barron Trump. I got to turn this up.
Do you think, show of hands, anybody think Donald Trump looks better after this town hall? Any of you think he looks worse? Any of you think the same thing about him as you did when you walked in?
Same
so
thing.
All of you feel that way.
Yep.
First thing I want to ask you about, Donald Trump, we have to be blunt about it, is not a truth teller. That's the way he's always been when he was a businessman. He's not a politician. He has lied about the 2020 election, stuffed ballot boxes, it's all made up. He's lost dozens of court cases. Does it bother you that he keeps talking about 2020 and not 2024? I'll ask you first. This is Jonathan Leslie. He's 40, Republican, voted for Trump twice. How do you feel about those lies?
So I feel like part of it's...
How do you feel about those lies? Already just, yeah, okay, presuppose the question.
Also the media narrative, as you guys asked him the first question at the town hall about the 2020 election, rather than current stuff.
So don't you think he could say it's time to start talking about 2024 and not lies that aren't true?
Couldn't you ask him a question about 2024?
Yeah.
Well, there were questions, but you're right, that was the first thing, but that's something that was on our mind.
Yo, you should run this past your producer first, unless, of course, you're trying to make all of your news presenters look completely and totally incompetent. That's a strategy, I guess.
And that's why I was asked first. Mike McLaughlin is 21. He is undeclared, which is what you do in New Hampshire if you want to be independent. He voted for Trump in 2020.
Yeah, but you
Mike,
got that suit on.
What do you feel about Trump continuing to talk about those mistruths from 2020?
Please help
Personally, I'm getting tired of hearing about it. I'm very much more so interested in the problems that we face now, and I would prefer to hear him discuss the present issues more so than going to the past.
That was the exact same answer that the dude sitting next to him gave. It's like, yeah, I'd like to hear about more relevant things, so stop bringing up the past, you fucking snakes.
65-year-old Stephen Farnsworth, Republican, voted for Trump twice. Your opinion about that?
Well, I think that he's committed to it. That's what he feels. That's what he thinks.
Well, do you think he thinks that, or do you think he just keeps saying it to
I can see why this went
for
viral.
people like you to believe it?
Well, I think he actually thinks it.
You do?
No, he may.
Even though he keeps losing in the courts over and over again.
He does say what's on his mind.
Okay. Do you think so? That it was a rigged election?
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain? Okay. All right, the next person on our list, 64-year-old.
You know, you're supposed to screen the people that are going to be participating before you ask them questions. Just saying.
You don't mind me saying your age, Cindy Owning, do you?
Not at all.
Okay, we were joking about that
For at least
before.
1 more month.
Yeah, she's a Republican. She didn't vote in the past 2 presidential elections. How come you didn't vote, A, and B, what do you feel about
Well, she didn't state what her job is, but it's clearly not in a dental profession.
the continuation of these lies about 2020?
You know, I don't know what's a lie anymore, but I think there needs to be a new narrative.
And what's the new narrative?
Current situations that are, involving all of us.
Current situations. But when you say you don't know what's a lie is a lie. I mean, all these courts have said there's one of the stuff ballot.
Yo, ADZ Bob Barker there's getting his shit pushed in, mostly because, figure out a new fucking narrative. As you can see, CNN viewers, or at least people, a good representation of people that are in New Hampshire, kind of tired of your shit as opposed to Trump, because the first 4 people that you were asking about, yeah, we want to hear about current stuff. But what do you think about 2020? It's all done and dusted, even if we find out anything. Don't know what we'd find. Got a couple of ideas in a couple of key states, but that's neither here nor there at this point in time, because it's all done and dusted. It's all been figured out. There's nothing left to discuss. Like, just fucking stop it at this point in time, okay? It's all fucking done. So yeah, if the only thing that you can say, oh, see, look at Trump's a total liar. All he does was talk about 2020. You asked the question, stupid. So that was their resuscitation strategy. And what happened? Oh, 28,000 downvotes to 8,000 upvotes. Congratulations, CNN. You fucking played yourself. Last but not least, okay, this one I seen went viral as well, and you had Representative Byron Donalds, who, there was rumors he was going to run for either governor or senator in Georgia in 2022. And I really wish he would have, because he's a fucking sharp dude, and he apparently beats the brakes off of a bunch of people on the CNN on this panel here. We got the first half of this. Benny Johnson has the clip here, so we'll let her rip.
A couple of things. First of all, town halls are for the voters, not for the press, not for the person who's the moderator. Kaitlan spent more time interjecting her own viewpoints or her own views on the situation.
Excuse me, those are actually facts.
Now, are you guys not going to interject your views on me, or do I get a chance to speak now?
If you're speaking falsely, those were facts.
He said she interjected. You're speaking false, and she's just fact-checking. Again, it's the same thing. Excuse me, you only built 58 new miles of wall. They didn't, excuse me, the new law, they didn't change the law, they strengthened it. She didn't interject, she fact-checked. Shut up.
The town hall is for the president to speak to the voters of New Hampshire, not for this back and forth with media. That's number one. Hold on, that's number.
That's the town hall structure, you fucking tard.
Number one. Number two, with respect to Ukraine, I totally disagree. He did not say he was just going to give over Ukraine the way you intimate, Van. He did not say that.
He didn't say
what he said was that he would actually look for a solution to end it quickly. He put 24 hours on it, but let's be very clear. What Joe Biden has done has been a disaster, because initially with Ukraine, Joe Biden wanted to give Vladimir Zelensky a ride out of Dodge. He wanted to give him a plane ride, and it wasn't until people in Moscow, in Ukraine, here in the United States said this invasion is wrong that Joe Biden reversed course.
Do you want a victory in Ukraine? Do you want a victory in Ukraine?
Do you want a victory in Ukraine? No, you want the war to be over, you fucking retard. Who the hell cares who wins? It's a regional fucking conflict. Who cares? Who fucking prospers at the end of the day? You guys don't even know the central problems with the conflict. So, no, we stand with Ukraine. Shut up.
Trying to respond to everything that's been coming up on the table. Last thing, let me say this. We spent 22, 23 minutes talking about January 6th. We could have been talking about a whole lot of other issues instead of doing that for the first half hour or so. But let me be very clear. What was said in this town hall about National Guard troops that were authorized by Kaitlan was wrong. I'm on the Oversight Committee. I was in two hearings on January 6th. It was testified in oversight that Donald Trump authorized National Guard troops on January 4. He followed up in a call with then acting Secretary of Defense on January 5, trying to see where the deployment was on those troops. That is testimony in the Oversight Committee. Everybody testified in Oversight Committee when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, except one organization, and that was the Capitol Police. Nancy Pelosi would not allow that. I'm telling you what was testified to in the Oversight Committee under oath.
Well, let me just correct you, because what Kaitlan was saying was what the former Secretary of Defense wrote in his book. He said the president did not.
We have testimony under oath. But this guy wrote this in a book. They're professionals. I'm an asshole in a tank top with a fan running in the background.
I'm telling you what he testified to under oath. In the Oversight Committee.
Can I just ask,
are the facts.
You do acknowledge Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, correct?
Again, we're going to continue to talk about 2020.
No, I mean, it's a direct question.
Now, hold on. Let me tell you.
Will you denounce white supremacy?
Let me tell you why most voters are frankly kind of tired of y'all bringing this up. Inflation.
Oh, here we go.
You don't have the courage to express your opinion about what happened.
Who hurt you? Why won't you just admit it? Just answer my question. What's a high value man?
Republican voter. I'm a Republican voter.
Voters
Do you
want to talk
acknowledge
about
that?
inflation, the border, fentanyl, the debt ceiling, foreign policy. If you want to talk about the
American
2020 election, let's talk.
American democracy. What's the structure of government that the Americans have? Republic. You
Talk
fucking
about this.
retard. I'm a
We
Republican
do know
voter.
that Mark Elias was in many jurisdictions
shit.
suing to actually change election procedures, which, by the
Yeah.
way, is at the hands of the state legislature in every state,
He's in
according to
Florida.
the
I thought he was in
Constitution.
Georgia.
Not in the hands of courts, not in the hands of the Supreme
Who's I
Court,
thinking of?
the
I
state
did
legislature.
racism.
We do know that to be a fact. We do know that
You won't state your opinion about factually what happened in the.
You won't define what a high value. If you're tired of those references, tune in tomorrow. It'll make a hell of a lot more sense.
You guys want me to make a statement. This is, Frank, let me tell you right now. This is what's frustrating to a lot of people. You want me to state it the way you want me to state it.
No, I don't.
am telling you.
I want you to just
the
answer the
ideas
question.
and the
Do you
reasons
believe-
behind why certain people
Do you believe the
election
election was rigged?
the way that they do.
We might have to run this clip back tomorrow.
I understand why
Now,
some people
moving
believe it.
forward
Do
into
you?
2024, a couple of things are very, very clear. The nation is a mess.
Yeah.
Our border is overrun. Inflation is crippling every family, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Those are the facts of the matter in 2024, not 2020. Not 2020.
Yo, right there. That's another good display of frame control right there. You know, the big ups to Byron Donalds. Like him a lot. I think Brian pointed out be a great VP pick. I would definitely agree. He definitely has a big future ahead of him, and he's definitely one of the young, bright, shining stars of the Republican Party. So shout out to him. Great stuff. Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was so much fun, guys. A record turnout. Like, huge turnout on Rumble. Shout out to you guys. And we just keep climbing and climbing and climbing, but I'm hungry. If you guys got any questions or anything like that, if you want to, just drop them in the chat or something like that, we can go to the bottom of the hour. I'm totally fine with that. But thanks for coming through on this one. I know the schedule got all fucked up, and if you weren't here at the beginning, I'll just reiterate. Tomorrow, we're going to go live. We're going to do what today is normally a day that you can see the little Chiron up there, which I need to update all of my overlays anyways. This should have been yesterday. Ran out of time yesterday. There was a whole bunch of, real life stupid crap that got in the way, but we just shifted that to today. And then normally, right now, I would be exclusively on Rumble, which we'll do tomorrow at the regular scheduled time. And we're going to be running back. It's completely different than the politics stuff, okay? There's been a big debate within the RP community, okay? Rollo Tomasi, the author of the Rational Male series of books, put out a tweet a few days ago that was, actually, it's been a couple of weeks at this point in time, where he said the quickest way to becoming a high-value man, and then he had an 8-point list, and you know what? Hey, man, it all makes sense. The quickest way to do that, yeah, okay, you follow that. The quickest way to gain a lot of muscle is to inject steroids. The quickest way to get $1 million is to rob a bank. Are those the most ethical ways to do it? Probably not, but it's definitely the most expedient way to do that. A lot of that nuance was lost on a bunch of fucking brainlets that are out there. Case in point, Sneeko and Destiny. If you don't know who those people are, tune in. You'll get a pretty good insight as to who they are, especially with Sneeko, who, yeah, he's somebody. He's, I don't want to say red pill grifter. Definitely don't want to say that. I think he's genuine, but I also think that he's starving for an identity, and we'll delve into that tomorrow as well. So we'll take a look at that and the way that he kind of just went around the world after he said that I'd be streaming every single day in 2023 until it was like, I don't want to do that, and I'm going to become a more developed man by going to a couple of different places and then coming back and espousing TradCon values, which are completely and totally out of date, and he's got the warped opinion on a couple of things. So probably running back the first portion of the After Hours, the Fresh and Fit After Hours show from when he was last on by himself, because it is very insightful. So we'll run that back a little bit. And then the Destiny, Sneeko, Rollo portion of the midday show on Wednesday, we'll go through that as well. And then on Tuesday, yeah, we'll be going live at the same time. It might be a little bit earlier because there is supposed to be. Fresh and Fit have an off day, but I think I heard from Rollo the only day that might work for everybody would be on Tuesday. would be on Tuesday to have the big round table where everybody sits down live, and we'll be doing a play-by-play right there. So simulcasting on Rumble and on YouTube as well. And because that's going to be a huge fucking stream, just kind of a spillover place where everybody, you know, if you guys want to talk and chat at the same time, I'll hopefully be keeping it live as much as we possibly can. And then if I have any interjections that are on there, I'll keep the interjections to a minimum, or just mute at the same time, or mute the stream so that I can add commentary over the top of that. But I'm looking forward to that, and then I'm also looking forward to filling in the gaps on that one. So what I'll do right now, I'll run through the chat. I'll give you guys, you know, a round of applause for showing up to this, because, you know, hey man, we got killer day when it comes to videos. And you know what? Shout out to you guys yesterday. I don't know if you caught the videos. I was really, not often am I like really proud. That's going to sound bad. Okay. I do good work when I put it out there, and I'm proud of all the work that I did, but some exceptional videos that I did yesterday actually got good traction, even though I released them in the middle of the night. So that's all responsible to you guys, and shout out to you guys for, you know, supporting me even when I drop videos in the middle of the fucking night like a weirdo. But no, even still on that. And then I can see the reaction video, because I've been alluding to this one Bud Light taste test. Do you want a Coors Light or do you want a Bud Light video at a country music festival? We reacted to that earlier, and I took a look, and it's like looks like that one's really catching on. So shout out to everybody. If you haven't got a chance to go back on that one, that shit is fucking hilarious. I don't actually know if that's going to get monetized, because there's a lot of fags and queers and trannies that gets dropped in that video. Not by me. Might say fag a couple of times, but don't worry about that, okay? But no, in the video itself, shout out 67 Brian, I think that's his name. Yeah, banger of a video, reacted to that. That was fun as fuck. So if you guys want to go back and catch that, or even still, like the Howard University and the Patriot Front, it's like, okay, if you're going to do a Fed op, don't make it so fucking transparent, Christ almighty. And then, what was the first video of the day? Christ almighty, I can't even remember. Oh, right, that Israel Adesanya. Yo, if you guys haven't watched that shit, that is peak modern woman sensibilities. Holy shit, bro. Yo, check this. If you guys haven't watched this yet, and I do encourage you to watch this, the past couple of days I've been putting out some bangers. Don't let that reflect on me. I'm not, you know, completely, you know, prideful and all that stuff. But no, the Israel Adesanya situation. What's her name? Charlotte Powdwell, whatever, Lottie for short. They broke up a few months ago, and now she's trying to take Israel Adesanya, the UFC middleweight champion, to court because she helped him on his grind, helped him build his empire, and now thinks that she's entitled to half of his earnings, half of the UFC middleweight champion's earnings. They were boyfriend-girlfriend. They seemingly have no liabilities. They were never married. They don't have children. She's taking him to court for half. Not every woman will do it, but every woman is definitely capable of doing it, because, yeah, she was also found out some stuff in the aftermath as well, trying to find her Instagram in order to get some pictures for the thumbnail, but she's 28 years old. Meme still in the chat. It's probably not a surprise to him, but she's approaching that tender age where she can see a brick structure off in the distance, and it's getting ever so closer. So she's trying to secure the bag for as long as she can, knowing that at 28 she can't quite attract the same type of guy that she could when she was 18. So she's trying to cash in at any means possible. She's reasonably attractive as well, and you know what? And the fact that she comes out first and foremost by saying, I helped him build some stuff, but then there's also some leaked audio or some leaked emails that came out as well, that she's been leaking some other information, so I wholly expect that there's going to be some more salacious allegations that are going to be built on top of one another in order for some pockets to be run in the future. Kind of like the Matt Ariza situation from, yesterday, released that video as well, where the chick accusing him just wanted to settle for a quick $50,000, but I was definitely raped and this was terrible. Yeah, I fully anticipate, not that I know anything, I'll be doing an update on the Israel situation. So I'm going to check the chats. Thanks again to you guys, and shout out to Ed for dropping the $10 earlier. You just a real fucking G, man. Shout out to you guys. Oh, looks like is there another one that came through? Was that yeah, that was okay. No, that's that's conversion and shit. Yeah, shout out to Ed. Yeah, Ed's the fucking G for sure. What do we got right here? Just looking at the YouTube chat. Yeah, Biden can't turn around to walk 10 feet. Well, he can. straight into a wall. Yeah, no, you can't declassify it. Yeah, just like the crap they're currently pulling in Arizona. Oh, Brian, there's so much shit that I'd love to talk about, and that one might have to be, we might do that situation next week on Rumble, because that's something that I've wanted to talk about. I've just forgot about it. So yeah, we'll earmark that. We'll earmark that for sure. Yeah, Representative Donalds would be a great VP pick. Anderson needs to quit white split. Yo, Anderson Cooper just needs to fucking retire already and go live off on his Vanderbilt wealth. That's for true. Thanks for making this happen, Don. Thanks for showing up again, Manu. Man, you're a fucking real one. You turn up to just about every single live stream, so shout out to you. What do we got over here on Rumble one more time? Yeah, Brian, take care, Don. Yo, maybe tomorrow, but yeah. No, Ed, if you come through, everything's going to be archived, and everything tomorrow, anything exclusively that goes down is going to be happening on Rumble exclusively tomorrow. And I got the special overlay, which I'm kind of partial to for Rumble, but I don't want to, cross the streams over here. So if you want to see that, tune in tomorrow. 6 p.m. is what I'm aiming for. Today wasn't that bad. I think we went live at about 20 to 7, so that was close. It was close. Okay. And tomorrow's supposed to be super fucking hot. So yeah, we'll be trying to keep, everything running smoothly. So Ed, if you turn out for that one, shout out to you, my guy, for true. Rookie with the migrants out there. That's fucking wild. Holy shit. Yeah, City Hall. Yeah. Tomorrow night. Yeah. Yeah. Get that shit ironed out first and foremost, Rookie. That's far more important. Okay. City ordered me to demolish a house, but the county ordered me not to. Yo, what the fuck? Yeah, government horseshit. Okay. Yeah, it's been slowly going back and forth since July of... Yo, that sounds fucking wild. I want to hear more about that story. Drop it over on Locals. That's fucking wild. If you want to, of course, Rookie. Yeah. No, yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be fun, Brian, for sure. Yeah, and Lucky stuck in the middle. No, for sure. And defeated. For sure. Very nasty woman, provides zero value. But yeah, no, it looks like we're at the bottom of the hour. Shout out to you guys. Like, even still here at the end, 50 people over watching on Rumble. Big ups to them. And then I think we crested about, what were the metrics over on YouTube? I think we got highest viewer count. We were over 20 there. No, actually, yeah, because we got up and over... got a fuck ton of viewers on Rumble at certain points in time. Like, it was getting close to about 80 or 90 over there, and then getting to about 20 so over on YouTube, which is fucking fantastic. But then it also just goes to show you, like, the platform on YouTube is 4 times larger than it is on Rumble, and yeah, we've got even right now 46 people, which if we could get one more person, that'd be terrific. But even still, just at the pittering out part of the stream, 1,070 something people that have followed the channel, which I'm incredibly thankful for, and still need to fire off that verification email to the support at Rumble. So yeah, with the little green little check mark, it could only go up for there. So yeah, no, again, we'll be going live tomorrow because I got to make up the missed stream on Saturday. So it's gonna be fun. I got everything all kind of figured out what we're gonna be doing. It's going to be a little bit different of a flavor, but if you've been watching my stuff for a while, it's totally going to fit on theme. So shout out to everybody who turned out to this one. Shout out to Ed. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Rookie. Shout out to Meme. Who else was in here? George, if you and your crew are still listening, shout out to you guys. George is a real one. Get your fucking asses to work, all right? Stop listening. Okay, we're done. Just get back to fucking work. Who else was in here as well? Our little link dropper. Meme took care of him as well. We had Matt, we had Mike, we had Dark Meta turned out in YouTube as well. Brian, and then Barack Obama, which is a hilarious username as well. And Manu as well. Sorry, yeah, Mike, and then John Robb earlier. Good to see you in here as well, my guy, for sure. Yeah, and asking some good questions as well, for sure. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see in the chat, and that's why hopping into the chat, definitely. It's a good thing. That's why I like doing these streams, and that's for true. And then Arthur from earlier, good, nice to see you. I don't recognize the avatar, but if you're still kicking around here, hope to see you again, because you were dropping some truth in the chat right there. And that'll be archived. Unfortunately, on the Rumble side, I don't know if they archived the chat. Maybe they do on the desktop version, but we'll figure that out. And yeah, so shout out to everybody who turned out for this. I really do appreciate it. And until tomorrow, we'll still have the 3 videos. The 3 videos that will be coming out tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat place, right? Anyways, so with all of that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.